Okay, so welcome everyone to the fourth day of the course. The fourth day. We are almost there, and I tell you, I'm excited that today is my last day of talking. All right. Tomorrow, I'm going to be the student, and you will express yourself. The journey we have taken this far. All right. So I am very much looking forward to it, and I hope you as well. All right. So please remember our rules. Remember our rules. Mute yourself if you are not speaking. Unless somebody wants to handle today's lecture, I'm very happy to give you the floor, really. Although I will not give you my slides. Otherwise, just mute yourself, please. Mute yourself. This morning we're hearing different languages going on there. It can be. Many people have not muted themselves. Yesterday, I removed people from the platform because they were giving us problems.
I'm hearing you.
I'm waiting for those who have not muted themselves to mute themselves. All right. Thank you. Okay, so today we'll deal with a number of things. Choosing the right journal, formatting for the journal, the issue of the cover letter, and dealing with reviewers and editorial comments, impact factors and distractions, and the issue of conventional and open access publishing. All right, so we'll deal with these issues. The practical issues, I remind you. Finally, today, well, I wouldn't mention the first one because if you share the link today to anybody, it will not be too beneficial for them if they join. I'm not saying I'm giving you approval to do that, but it will not be very, very beneficial. And I think you will agree with that anybody who joins today has missed a lot. All right, the Google Drive is there. Keep making use of that. The lectures up until yesterday are all on the Google Drive. The presentations and then the recordings are in on our YouTube channel, the recordings until yesterday. All right. The nuggets will continue today. Group 10 will continue this morning. Put your group number to your name. Put it there. And after the course, you change it, because if you don't change it, it remains there. I've seen people who have joined Zoom meeting and what they have in their name includes the group number of a course they've attended. So please, after today, change it, but put it there. Put it there. All right. Group coordinators, please continue to take notes of the attendance so that we can give you the certificate judiciously. The evaluation, I'll be sharing the evaluation link with you this morning after the summary also. And I hope you have had enough that can allow you to say, oh, this course went well for me, it didn't go well, or there are things you think we can improve. I think you have a perspective of the course now to be able to accurately reflect your experience. This is very important for us, please, so that we can improve and make what we offer better. Some people actually, after attending the course, like this course now we are running, there are several people who applied to take it again. They have done it before last year, and they applied to do it again. And I told them, your chance of getting in is maybe close to minus 100. It's not even close to 0. All right, because there are many people who will apply. So what is the reason of trying to do it again? They want to continue to enjoy the information. But those who attend, your opinion is good to get other people back. Get other people in, not to get you back to the course, because the space is so limited. Even when we start charging, unless there is so much space, you pay the first time you attend, you want to attend the course again, you pay, okay, now that is your money, okay? But we will still give priority to those who have not done it before. All right, so please help us once you get the link to provide evaluation to the course. Provide evaluation, and it's better to do it before the course ends. Otherwise, when you postpone it, sometimes you forget and you never do it again. All right. Yesterday, we talked about the results. And I mentioned there is a thread that runs through a scientific paper. Introduction, set the scene, provide a context, and then motivate the need for the study and state the objective of the study. All right, the evaluation link is not sent yet. It's not sent yet, so I'm just informing you that I will send it soon. It's not sent yet. All right, so it will be sent. And so you move from the introduction, where you have set the scene, to the method in which you use approaches to address the question you have raised in the introduction. And after that, the results section provide answers to the question. So you report that. And I separated the data from the results. The data are the things you have in the tables, the numbers you have in the tables, the things you have in the figures. But the results is actually interpretation of those numbers in a way that the reader understands what you have found. And we went through some examples, and I sent you on a journey of 1 hour, and you struggle with what that group did to really figure out what is the actual message in that data. Actually, it's data they have provided. All right. Yeah. That was not an easy one, but I was happy the way you went through it and put into your insight into that. So the essence of the results is to interpret the data in a way that the reader understands it. And it's important when you're writing the results to be aware that the principles of precision, the principles of clarity and brevity should be the bedrock. And if I take you back to what we did yesterday, here, you can see it. The principles of precision, the principles of clarity and brevity. Many times we talk too much. We talk too much. We write too much. We express ourselves too much to the extent that we become so noisy. All right? What we do becomes so noisy. But you can be quite simple and still communicate. And so the text that has been reduced, maybe this is around 1/5 of the original text. Around 1/5 of the original text captures the message and makes it clearer and really covers what the writers have actually indicated there. All right. So there is no need to begin to fill space. There's no need to begin to fill space. It's very important to be as simple as possible. So please work hard to make your life easy, the life of the reader easy, the life of the scientific community easy. And then talking about the results, I also mentioned that the first rule you should have is to have the reader in your mind. The reader should drive your writing. And so you have to ask the question, would they understand me? Would they understand what I've written? Does it make sense? Is it complicated? Is it too simple? Sometimes it can also be too simplistic. All right? Is it too simplistic? Or is it just as good as enough? Yep. So think about that. And I mentioned reporting guidelines. And this can differ from discipline to discipline. Experts in the field coming together to make proposal of guidelines that can help the process. Guidelines that can help the process of reporting a scientific piece of work. And this has come from the need to really do this because there are divergent ways people are doing things and it can be challenging. So please, depending on your discipline, look out for the guidelines that suit your reporting, your study design, your discipline. Look out for them. They can be very, very helpful. All right. We're talking about tables, figures, and charts. And we went we went through that old or age-long saying, a picture is worth more than 1,000 words. You can't dispute it. I challenged you yesterday, if there is any field that does not, or anybody who does not agree with that saying, and nobody was able to say, yeah. Nope, nobody. Or is there anybody this morning who doesn't accept that? And we can see it. It's very, very, very clear. All right. And I showed you the picture of this kind. Who has his heart? Who has currencies, US dollars put around him? And I told you that picture can lead to pages of description. That is the essence. So the tables, the figures, the charts help you as supplementary information to report the results section of your study. And there they contain data, and in reporting you need to make sense of that data that they are carrying to the reader. Don't overuse them, don't underuse them, don't use them to distract. Just use them as they should. Discussion is now putting everything into context. What does your findings mean? What do we do with them? How do they compare with what we know? Can we apply them? Can we not apply them? What are the limitations? What are the strengths? So you put what you have found into context and discuss it. All right? And we highlighted, all right, that in writing the discussion, we use the funnel plot system or funnel system. Do you remember? In writing the discussion, we use the funnel approach. Do you remember that? Or everyone has forgotten? Do you remember that?
Yes, we can remember.
You can remember.
Remember.
All right.
Yes, remember.
Prof, please, we use a cone instead of the funnel.
Some people have agreed with me, even when I said it. Inverted funnel, isn't it?
Inverted funnel.
I wanted to check how good students you are. That was good. So we don't use the funnel system. We use the inverted funnel or a cone to write. It was not a permission to unmute now and then take over. Please just mute yourself back. All right. So we use inverted funnel, which means you start from the specific, and that is your study, what your study has found. All right. Then you start moving to the broader perspective, taking your study outside itself and looking into the globe. How does it compare? How can we use it? How can we apply it? What does it actually, what are the implications? So you start from the specific and then you move. And I gave you a system different paragraphs that the discussion can have. The first paragraph is the summary of your key findings. And this relates to the objectives you have stated. Summary of your key findings. All right. Some people are complaining. My screen has been showing the same thing. Yeah, we are doing revision of what happened yesterday. You can see it is already in front of you there. All right. So you can't move your screen yourself. I have to move it here before you can move. So don't try to move it. All right. So the first paragraph, summary of key findings. The second paragraph varies from tradition to tradition or discipline to discipline. But in the biomedical field, a paper written by the British Medical Journal some time ago recommends that the second paragraph should highlight the strengths and limitations of your study. Some places it's not like that. People write sometimes the strengths and limitations as the last paragraph of their study. Anyway, so the first paragraph, summary of key findings. The second paragraph, strengths and limitations. All right. The third paragraph, you compare your study to previous studies on the topic. All right. The fourth paragraph, you interpret your findings. So you make meaning of what your finding is. The fifth paragraph is now the implications of your findings. And depending on the field, in the medical side, it could be the clinical implications, the research implications, the policy implications, and after that, you just conclude. And the conclusion provides now perspective, the overall perspective. And where do we go from here? What do we do with what you have found? All right. Okay. And then finally, the abstract. Abstract is a miniature of the paper. The abstract is a miniature of the paper in which you summarize in a way that allows the reader to have a perspective. Not every ingredient may be reflected, but the main ingredients. And you have to know that some of the readers will only have access to your abstract. And when you submit your paper, the editors usually do not read the whole paper before they send it out. They read your cover letter, they read your abstract, and then they can make a decision. In most cases, that is what happens. And so if you have a poor abstract, then it doesn't help your case. That is why you need to sit down and write it like nothing else, because you want to get it in, you want to publish it. All right. The abstract can be structured or unstructured abstract. The structured is that the journal has some headings. They want you to put information that reflect those headings. And your structured one is a freestyle. You can describe it. But of course, it follows the different sections of the paper. So you have to set a background, an introduction, and your objective. Then you describe the method you have used. Then you go to the result and the conclusion. Even though it's unstructured, but still it has a thread of how it flows. So that was, in a nutshell, what we did yesterday. And then this is a summary, is an abstract of what we did yesterday. We had 7 hours, and in half an hour, I've been able to summarize. And perhaps somebody was not here yesterday, but at least from what I have said now, you can at least capture some of the things we treated yesterday. Yeah, comparison paragraph is different from the interpretation paragraph. All right. Okay. If you do it that way, yeah, that is fine. Daniel is saying it would be good to have a training on dissertation thesis proposal, right? Yes, Rhoda, I have seen your hands. Don't be tired. I will call you. Okay, I will call you. All right. No, let me not go to. Let's see those who have their hands up. I start with Rhoda, then I'll go to Patience. Rhoda, please.
Okay. Good morning, Prof, and good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's another day. So, Prof, during discussion, you talked on highlighting the strength and the limitation of your work. Please, can you indeed help me to know exactly when we're talking about limitation, what are we talking about?
Okay.
Yes.
You know, you have implemented your study. Now, let me use the example I've been using in this course. We're looking at the impact of flooding on stunting. All right. And when I described this the first day, I was saying that we'll go out there and then we find children who are stunted, and we call them the cases. But to be able to establish that flooding has impact on stunting, we need to compare them to a group to be able to do that. So we go out also and find children, perhaps of the same age, living in the same area, maybe match them by gender, and then they are not stunted. And now what we do is that we start asking their parents about likely exposure to flooding. Maybe when you were pregnant, was there any flood? Where did you live? What happened? And then we'll collect that information. All right. And so once you collect, and you do the same thing for the children who are not stunted, and you make your analysis and you report your results. Now, eventually, you find out that flooding has a negative impact, meaning that if you live close to a flooding site or flooding affected you when you're pregnant, there is a likelihood to have a child who is stunted. That is your conclusion. And you're happy, and you run to the market, and then you publish it. Oh, this is, or you write your paper. All right. But for us, that study you have done now, is it a perfect study? I'm asking everybody, is it a perfect study?
Not really.
No. Okay.
No.
Can you let's list out some of the things that make it not a perfect study. Example.
For me, one, it has not been implemented.
Not implement. We are talking about the study you conducted. Forget about what you use the study to do. The study you conducted, what makes this study not a perfect study? Okay, I see.
Maybe the sample size is small.
Maybe some bias.
Yeah, but what is bias? Bias is a big word. We have to be specific. The sample size is good. Yeah, the sample size can be small. And so if the sample size is small, what happens is that when you're writing your strength and limitation, in the limitation section, you have to highlight that the sample size is small. So for Rhoda, that is one example. And then the second one is what I have. Yeah, Zacchaeus.
They are confirmed that we don't want to. Some confirmed that, say, for exam, other
Please,
of
I don't
something.
want. I want people who raise their hand. You raise your hand, then I can call you, because otherwise, it's so much problems there. Zacchaeus, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, sir. The study is limited to that environment. She cannot generalize that any conclusion. The conclusion will be based on that environment, that is the study area. Except there's a need to compare it to other location elsewhere.
So you are talking about external validity, external generalization. Well, before external, the internal validity is a prerequisite for external validity. But apart from every study has a context, all right? Every study has a context and has its limitation with regards to externally applying it outside that context, all right? But inside the study itself, we want to know what are some of the limitations and the strengths.
Time is another limitation, sir.
Time, what do you mean by time?
Okay, because the flood usually occur during rainy season. And there are some people that may be pregnant outside that period.
Yeah, so you have no problem at all. We're not interested in you.
I don't understand, sir.
So if you have, if you are pregnant outside the rainy season, I'm saying that then we are not interested. You're not a candidate for flooding affecting your child, isn't it?
Yes.
So we're interested in those that are affected by flooding. All right, I have Eman Diab.
Yes, good morning, everybody. For the limitation, one of them could be because the study is done in local area, so we cannot generalize it. It's the same point mentioned by my colleague here. The second thing may be related to the type of the method that I have used. For example, if I use the questionnaire, for example, so it have a bias because it is self-reporting measure. So there is some information maybe not.
Great. I get your point, Eman. So Rhoda, I can see that. Now, let me exemplify that. If I go and I ask this woman, were you affected by flooding? You say, yeah, I was affected by flooding. When we were living there, it rained so much. How much was it? Up to my leg, this leg here. All right, it was, in fact, up to my head, something like that. You can say that. You see, what is happening there is that there is a translation of information that has potential for inaccuracies. All right, so if you ask one woman to describe her own, you ask another woman to describe her own, and so you're collecting this information by self-reporting. There is potential that this can be biased. All right. Now, compare that information you're collecting from those women to, you go to the local authority that observes flooding. And then you collect information on when the flooding happened, what was intensity, who was affected. You take, perhaps they have details up to the postcodes, so you can map out how flooding affected these people. And then this woman you're asking now, the only thing you need to get from her is, where did you live when you were pregnant? And when you get that information, you can match it with what information you got from the local authority. That information you got from the local authority is more objective than the information the mother is providing. So in your limitation, you have to mention the likelihood of bias coming in based on self-reports. All right. Now, that is one. Second thing is that stunting. How was stunting measured? Is it also based on women's description? Or you have used objective measure to measure this? The other one is that I mentioned that, okay, you have children who are stunted, and then you match them with controls. You know, when you're matching and comparing, it's better to have like for like. It's possible that your matching to controls may be inadequate. So I have described the limits. So you can have the limitations that can come from different, the way the study has been conducted, the way the measurement has been made. Perhaps it can also come from the analysis, the statistical analysis. Limitation can come from there. All right. What is the strength? Can we find any strength in this study? Nelson, your hand is up.
Yes, Professor, the point that I wanted to make, I think you already talked about it, about them. So I think I can just answer the question that you are asking now.
Yeah,
I think maybe one of the strengths, it may be something new, like it may be a new study.
Mm-hmm.
This it may be a big strength.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for it depending as well. It may depend the extent in terms of the population. If we are talking with small village, or if we're talking about the data of national data, so that can play a so big role in terms of impact. And another thing, it's really implication for that, for this another strength according to the finding. It may be the implication of our results itself. Yeah, it may have implication for public health policy, or yeah, in the political decision.
All right, thank you very much, Nelson. Rhoda, you're noting that. All right, so those are issues of strength. This study, this type of study has not been done in this town before, in this area before. And what we have done has implication. It can lead to generating policies that will help to stop this or minimize this flooding. All right, so that is a strength for your study. And now, if during the study you also make those measurements, like I said, you go to local authority. If you have done that, so that will be also a strength for you in terms of your measurement. If you have done a perfect matching of the cases and the control, that could also be your strength. All right. So some of the things I've mentioned for the limitation could also be strength if you have done them better than I have described for the limitation. Ogachuku.
Good morning, ma'am. So my question, hello, can you hear me?
We hear you clearly.
Yes. My question is, what if you mention all the limitations and then the reviewer uses it against you to reject your paper? Sometimes I get scared and I rarely state limitations in my paper.
Because you feel that you're a heavenly scientist. You are thrown from there to us. So you have no limitation.
If the reviewer uses it against to reject the paper?
Those who come from heaven don't have no fear of reviewers. All right. And we don't have perfect studies. All right. Science and research is incremental. Okay. Now, this is the way you should do it. if you are going to do a research, and I stated this at least the last 2 days, I emphasized it, make sure you review the literature. My PhD students, when they come, one of the first things I ask them to do, and in fact, most of them, is that they do a systematic review on the topic before they start their project. And for those of you who have not attended our systematic review course here, or maybe you, let me not promote it so much, but I tell you, you need to do that course. Or you talk to those who have attended it before, and there are several of them here. I think Nelson has done it, isn't it? Rhoda, perhaps you have done it. All right, so talk to them.
Yes, I did it.
They can convince you. So that kind of course, I asked them to go and do systematic review, and then we find a topic on, and they do it. What happens is that, at the end of that, they have a control of that topic. They know the studies that are important. They know the studies that are good. They know the studies that are poor. And so in formulating their own question, that knowledge they have generated will help them to formulate questions that will address some of the limitations and weaknesses on that topic. They can incorporate addressing those in there. So if, for instance, the problem in that field is that people have used questionnaire most often, and that has made things complicated because the things that are being measured should be measured objectively, using maybe blood sample, using scales, or using certain things to measure. So they can include that in their study to overcome those weaknesses. So responding to Ogochukwu's question, the point is that when you're doing your study, because science is based on incremental evidence, what you're doing today should be an advancement to what was done yesterday. A journal sent me some time ago a paper, and we have worked quite a lot on that topic, my group, and we had a systematic review where we said, well, let's bring everything together and really understand what has happened in the last 40 years. And in that paper, we concluded that most studies have not been robustly conducted. So in going forward in this evidence base, we need studies that overcome those limitations we have pointed out. But this paper came and was done using similar method that were done before. So when this journal sent it to me, I recommended rejection. I said that there's no advancement from where we were. This is still a repeat of what we had done before, what we know before. So we need some advancement. All right. So your study at the point in time you're conducting it should reflect some level of advancement, because science is, research is incremental. Now, Ogochukwu is saying that, how will I write if I write the reviewer? No. You see, most reviewers will actually like what you have done. All right? Most reviewers will like what you have done, that you are able to identify the limitation. It's not just to identify the limitation. Once you have identified it, you should be able to also offer perspectives on how that can be dealt with in going forward. So don't be afraid of highlighting your limitation. If you don't, if you have a smart reviewer, then they will find you out. They will find you out, and then they will bring it to you and say, well, your study is deficient in this area. Your study is deficient in this area. Your study, and then you see, when the reviewer reviews, they have the comment they provide to you, and then the editor will also, they have private comment they provide to the editor. And to you, they have pointed the limitations, and to the editor, they will say, this study is so poor. I recommend rejection. You don't see that one in your reviewer's comment. Okay, so if you highlight your limitation, the reviewer now understands that you are aware of the extent we can interpret your study, and that is a good sign. All right, so don't be afraid to highlight all the limitations you have. If the journal rejects it, work on the comments, improve it based on the comment they have sent to you, and send it to another journal. There are 1,001 journals in the world. All right, so it's good to highlight your limitations than to hide them. You can easily be found out, trust me. All right, I have Doris. Anna Emene.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning. Please, on the issue of strengths, can testing a newly validated, maybe global questionnaire, can it be a strength?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the context. It's a possibility. If that is the first, if that is the first study to test that could be a strength, of course.
All right, sir. Thank you, sir.
So the point is that for every study, you need to have an eye of an ego as a researcher to be able to know what constitutes the strength of your study. And that varies from study to study. All right, I have Ngozi Ndemili Aron. Please. Ngozi, it's your turn. Go ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm trying to comment on Ogochukwu's question concerning limitations. In my own field, social science, they tell you that when you talk about limitations, it means that these are things that fundamentally changed your study. You know, these are challenges or things that you met across that changed the way you carried out your study. But challenges, however, are things that difficulties you had, then you also have to say how you overcome them. But for limitations, you know, if you have limitations, that means that study cannot be carried out as proposed, the way you proposed it. So the limitations prevent the original plan, but challenges can be there, but you have to show how you overcame them. That's my own field. That's what they say.
All right. So you can see the difference in terminology. And eventually, even though the terminologies are different, we are talking about the same thing: challenges and limitations. Sometimes you can have some field that call it weaknesses. All right. So I think eventually see what your field is calling this and use that. All right. I have Simon Agongo.
Well, thank you so much. I want to find out, for instance, if you have done your PhD thesis and you have several objectives and you have common limitations, when you are sending to the journal for publication, will you maintain the same limitations throughout your papers?
Yeah, you want to hide them?
No, sir.
All right. I mean, of course, it's your study. Those limitations are there, regardless of the journal you submit it. So you have to acknowledge them. All right, Patience.
Good morning, Prof.
Good morning.
Yeah, my question comes from yesterday's work that is under results. And though you made mention of something today that those data are not results, they are data. But in my field, most times in mathematics, when we have something like that, we're able to bring it out, just like most of the group brought it out yesterday, into table to bring the different parameter, and then they will now allow us to write a short note under. So both the table that has the data and the short note we say they are results. Then the graphs too are also part of the results, then with a short note. But from what I will understand today, I don't know if I'm correct. when you were talking, you said the ones with figures are data, then the ones, then we have to bring it out in a short note. I don't really understand.
Okay. You know, you people in mathematics think mathematically. So you have this, but the thing is this, once you have the tables, you have your figures, okay? They are all part of the results section. But now you don't just put figures and tables and send it like that without any text.
Yeah, we normally write text.
Yeah. So that in your writing is what we refer to the results. What you have in the table and the figures, we call them data. Because if those things in the figures and the tables are sufficient, then you don't need to write. All right. So what you're writing is an interpretation of what you have in the figures so that the reader can understand what your study has found. If you don't write, then you have just only presented data. It means that you are telling everybody, interpret it your own way. And people will look at the figure and they may have different interpretation. But you can guide us to say, this figure 1 presents this. This is what it shows. And that thing you're doing is the result, using the text to interpret what you have in maybe tables or figures, or even if you don't put it in figures or tables, but telling us what you found in a textual way that make us to understand your findings.
Thank you, Prof.
All right. Finally, Nelson.
Prof, I have a question regarding to the limitations.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can get me.
I hear you. Go
Okay,
ahead.
thank you. I would like to know, because sometimes there are so many limitations, many.
Mm-hmm.
So do we have to write all the limitations, or we may just focus for the big ones?
I don't know which one is big ones and which ones are small ones. You can help me.
But what would be the advice?
So which one, tell me, I want you to help you. Which one is big and which one is small?
I didn't imagine this question. I think it's hard. But yeah, it's hard to answer this question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, what happens is this. And I want everybody, I hope you're listening to me too. I want everybody to listen to this. You see, when we started this course, the point was, as a scientist, how do you communicate what you have found? And what we are doing in this course, I differentiated it from science writing, in which you communicate to the outside world. Where that is not this course. SFI is planning to bring that up sometime, to have a course on science writing, how scientists can communicate with the non-scientist audience. But now you're interacting with your colleagues in your field. The goal of that is to progress that field, generate knowledge, do things that will have meaning for our society eventually. So the concept of transparency is integral. Transparency is integral. And if you have not taken our course, we call reproducibility in scientific research. That course is a place I think many of you can be. The issue of reproducibility is integral. The concept of open science is integral. All right, because we all aim not just to publish and then we have you can be dancing, you drink, you are happy. My paper has been accepted. That is not the goal. The goal is, how do we move what we are doing forward? How do we move the field forward? How do we move science forward? How do we have things that we can do? And so in that, we need to be open, very open in reporting. Okay? I agree that you may have so many missions. Some of them are so minor that you don't need to emphasize them, perhaps as a result of space. But because you are moving the field forward, when you have done the study, you need to be able to guide your readers and perhaps those who will start their own research from where you stop. And so once you provide them a context of what you have not done well, and because you have not done it well, it's not a sign of a bad scientist, it's a sign of a human being. You are a human being, we are all human beings. And because knowledge is incremental, science is incremental, we build on where others stop, or we continue to build from where we stop. And so my advice is transparency. My advice is reproducibility. My advice is open science. Do it for the field. Do it for the society, and do it. And I tell you, in my own experience, at least I have some editorial task in some journals, scientific reports. I have editorial task there +1, and another field specific journal. I have the associate editor there. I am happy to see people who will discuss their result exhaustively, give pointers to what has not gone well and how that can be improved, and guide us in going forward. So don't see it as a weakness. Don't see it as an advantage. It's actually a sign of good science. It's a sign of what I call patriotic science. All right. Let's allow group number 10 to give us their nugget. While they are preparing to do that, let me put the link for the evaluation. Those who have been asking for the link is there. If any issue, just let me know with that. Let me check carefully. All right, so fill the evaluation as soon as you can, and we will all be happy with that. All right, group number 10, the floor is yours.
Good morning, our professor. Good morning, our colleagues, our fellows. Now today we are group 10. We will discuss our nugget for authorship, plagiarism, and the conflict of interests, views and practice from low and middle income country, health researchers. Our nugget is a paper that documents the misconduct or research misconduct among researchers from low and middle income countries. Research misconduct is a threat to all researchers as it puts trust of research and science at risk. Research misconduct include many forms like data fabrication, falsification, plagiarism, guest or ghost authorships, not declaring conflict of interest, and redundant publication. In our thesis, we will discuss ghost authorship, plagiarism, not declaring a conflict of interest, as we will document in table 1. Guest authorship means adding authors who didn't contribute substantially to the work, while ghost authorship means omitting authors who contributed substantially to the work. Plagiarism means copying a text or part of text or idea or image of someone without proper citation. While redundant publication, it means republishing one's own including a copying of the entire manuscript, which is called duplicate publication, while Salami publication means publication of SIB and result in a separate paper. And text recycling means reusing of text in several publications. No disclosure of conflict of interest means not declaring financial or non-financial, such as personal, political, academic, religious, and institutional interest that can potentially influence professional judgment and bias the conclusion. Our study finding, there were 4 identified themes. The first one with authorship rules. The reviewer documented that authorship rules are simple in theory, but not constantly applied. Authorships put under situation to add authors who did little or not contribute for a variety of reasons, such as favor, loyalty towards college, rewarding research assistants, making a publication look better, and for publication fees. The theme number 2, academic status and power underpin behaviors. Junior researchers were obligated to add the names of their supervisors or head of department on their publication, even when they didn't contribute. Also, professors or supervisors expected to be the first author on the publication and on their junior research work. Some professors published junior research without including their names as the author and sometimes without their knowledge. Recognition in the scientific community, high impact publication, and ascent in the institutional position was described as not being in the interest of the research, but certainly in the best interest of the research. This is the best interest of research. Theme number 3, institutions and culture fuel bad practice. The required publication for promotion encourage research misconduct, such as photoshopping of their names and affiliation after submission of the paper, also publishing of the fabricated data in a local journal. So we suspect they should punish for this practice. Theme number 4, researchers are uncertain about the conflict of interest. So adequate guidance on what to declare and when to declare should be put. Our conclusion, in low middle income countries, the researcher documented occurrence of ghost authorship in the widespread, plagiarism is a problem. Researchers have a problem understanding of financial and non-financial conflict of interest and are reluctant to report them. There is a poor guidance of researchers on declaration of conflict of interest. Also, we find that some factors drive them to report to poor reporting of this practice, such as desire for power and academic status, bad institutional system and academic culture, lack of role models, as already senior researchers perform research misconduct. Overemphasis on the publication, particularly on the quantity that's required for the promotion, encourage this research misconduct and bad practice. So we recommend that we need to assure strong moral principles and honesty practice is important to attract investment from the government, donors, and international collaboration, which will help develop research capacity in low and middle income countries. Thank you.
All right, that is great one. That is great one, and I want to tell you that in ASFI, we are planning to establish a journal, multidisciplinary journal for African researchers. Hopefully, we can launch that during the planned ASFI multidisciplinary conference next year. I mentioned to you when we started this course that we are serious about the movement we have started here. We want to make it really realistic. So this may get to the point where we can have reporting, what you're saying here, reporting practices, disciplinary reporting practices, and having several of you from different fields, we can work together to see how we can have different reporting practice recommendations for African researchers. So, all right, thank you, group number 10 for pointing out.
Thank you,
those.
Prof.
All right, so please, those perhaps who were missing in action when I sent the evaluation form, I send it again and I'll continue to send that throughout today and tomorrow. So please fill it when you get your small time. Okay. Importance of journal publishing. Why is journal publishing important to you or to your field? Why is journal publishing important? Please raise your hand if you want to speak. Then I will find you. Let's quickly go through that. Why is journal publishing important for you? All right. I have Kudus Lawal. Yeah. Kudus, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prof. I think publishing finding of research is an ethical issue in the sense that if one has gone ahead to do a research and it's not published, it means you've exposed people to harm without giving out the result to the public in order to make use of it. So publishing finding is an ethical issue. Then publishing again, it's also for the purpose of enriching the world with knowledge that you've gained from whatever research you've done. So it improves general outcome in terms of science. It improves science by publishing findings that one has gotten. Then lastly, for purposes of promotion at work, also publication plays an important role.
Thank you, Kudus, for that. Those are important points. Is an ethical issue, which means that as a researcher, you have a social contract. Okay. And when you come to the course reproducibility, one thing we emphasize is that you are an employee. As a scientist, you are employee. Employee of who? Employee of the society. You are an employee. You don't own yourself. All right. Even though you live big there, you have your big coach, you have your big car. When you pass it through society, you behave as if you're on top of the society. No, you are an employee. They pay you. Without if they say they are not contributing, you wouldn't be paid. And so we have a social contract. We are the eye of the society. You have a social contract. So what Kudus is saying is that it's an ethical issue. And if you do your research, eventually you don't publish, then the goal of doing that research is not achieved. Okay. Yeah, that's an important perspective. Okay. Pantaleon.
Thank you. Good morning, Prof. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I have three contributions to why you have to publish. One is to contribute to your academic journey, and second is to contribute to specific areas in the science where you are working on. And then my third point is to highlight some policy or programmatic areas where you are working on. And I emphasize actually on the third point. Some of us work in the third sector, that is the civil society organization. So if you come up with good findings, you might be contributing to significant programmatic interventions, which can also lead to policy, advocacy and related issues.
All right. Thank you very much, Pantaleon. Those points are well apt and noted. Okay, Neka Constance.
For me, publishing gives one a wide visibility, because if you just carry out a research and you don't pass the information, you will just be the only one that knows that. But once you publish it, it gives a wider visibility. Others tend to gain knowledge from it. Then also in my career, it helps in promotion, for promotion. Because without publishing, you have to just be there. So that's it.
All right, visibility and promotion. And this is the driver of many scientists. I want to be visible. I want to be promoted. Yeah, that is good, but that also comes as a result of doing good science. So good science first, and then every other thing will be added onto you. Good science first, and every other thing will be added onto you. All right, I have Monica, please.
Yeah, good morning, Prof. Good morning,
Good morning.
everyone. Why I like to play down on this publishing for promotion, I don't really like that. It's good to publish for promotion, but to emphasize that importance of journal publishing is for promotion. For me, I don't like that aspect. What I consider major importance of journal publishing is contribution to knowledge, which enables society problems to be solved. There are people that they can't even go to hospital. They just go online, find a way to heal themselves by just reading about the illness or the drugs to use online. These are the importance of journal publishing to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Monica. And that needs to be emphasized by myself. You see, many times we are treading the wrong journey. I agree with you absolutely. I agree with you absolutely. And for those who have not attended the SFI reproducibility course, this may be I keep reminding you of that. When you come to that course is synonymous to transformation. I had it here. I just had it last week of November. I teach it every year in my university here. And these students, some came from Norway, some came from different places, and they came there. And I started by asking, why are you on this course? Why did you? Of course, I start with that mostly with my course. And so here, where I saw the title, but I don't know what I'm just curious. I'm just curious to know what this course is about. And many people who attend that course, that is their initial assessment, curiosity. And they come and we go through a whole week. Oh, I remember the last day. I said, wow. There's the transformation that comes, trust me. All right. And one of the things that will transform you is perspective of publishing. Why do you publish? What is your motivation for publishing? And I was saying that scientists many times we take the wrong road. We think that it is publishing that brings the promotion. But it's good to publish qualitatively. In your institution, you may get the promotion, but outside your institution, you don't get a promotion. You understand what I mean by that? No. Perhaps you. Oh,
yes,
you don't understand.
Yes.
Perhaps
I understand that.
Okay.
Understand that.
Great. Perhaps your institution counts the numbers. Okay, you have published 10 papers. Okay, now go to maybe a lecturer, or go to senior lecturer, or go to that. But when you send it to international scrutiny, then they see that what you have published is just numbers. It has no value. Okay? And that can happen when publishing is your goal. Publishing to get numbers. But if doing good science is your goal, publishing is a child of good science. Do you understand that?
Yes, Prof.
Or I say it to another way, if
Yes,
good
Prof.
science is
Yes,
your
Prof.
goal, publishing is an offspring. Invariably, you can't do good science without publishing.
Yes.
Because people want to hear that message. And when you do good science, you will not only get a promotion, but you will get, you're not going to only promotion in your institutions, you will get promotion outside your institution. People will know you, they will invite you for a talk. They invite you. Yes. In fact, you'll be in a position where you begin to say, I don't have time to come. No, I don't have time because of what you have done. It's not the number you have published. You may have 5 papers, but those 5 papers are earthquakes in your field. And you may have 20, 30, 50, and they are just, what can I, fireworks. So think about it. So just to emphasize what Monica has said, it is important that we focus on good science, and then every other thing will be added onto you. All right, Charles Olupot.
Thank you very much, bro. I think one of my motivations for publishing is discovering new areas for new areas of interest. In the process of me writing, I end up discovering areas of interest where I'm able to commit more time and learn more and generate more knowledge. So it's one of the motivations for me. Yes,
All
thank
right.
you very much.
Thank you very much. That's great. All right, I have patience.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Prof. I want to add to what other people have said, especially the last 2 speakers. Those are some of the purposes of publishing. And I see publishing improving me in my field and also helping the younger generation in my field to know more. When they read my papers, when they come across the papers I've written, they see it simplified and also encouraging them to do more, because most people in my field see publishing as something very healthy and complex. But through publishing and help those around me, and also it improved me because of the statements of some of those reviewers may be somehow complex, and it makes me do more work. And it also exposed me to new areas in the field, because mostly I do work on applied mathematics. So I touch many fields, sciences, and engineering and others. So it exposed me to new areas of work. That is what I see publishing, not just for promotion at all. Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you. Thank you. I can take 2 more on the line. I have Zacchaeus and Beatrice. Then we move on.
God's grace, this type of suffering you are causing somebody.
Not here, Clara. Zacchaeus, please. All right, British, go on. Zacchaeus is not responding. Beatrice, are you there? Beatrice Bekwe, can you go on?
Hello, sir.
Good morning for this series emotion for me, because aside all that has been said, again,
Beatrice, your line is not good.
Hello, sir.
Zacchaeus, just hold on. Let's see Beatrice.
Okay.
Beatrice, are you there? All right, Zacchaeus, go on.
Okay. Thank you for the job, sir. To me, one of the reasons for publishing is the visibility of my personality. Because like many articles I've come across, I've never seen the author in person. But the good work they have published is making them to know them based on what they have written across the globe. So that is one of the things. It makes the individual of them more reputable, especially when you find the practicability of their work. That is one of the things. Another thing that I see in publishing is enhanced innovations of thinking and innovation. Because when you somebody have work and you are reading them, it will add value to you, and you're able to think through your own environment. Is there any similar thing you can do to improve your own society?
All right.
Therefore, it makes information move across the world and technologies. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Let's move on, please. All right. I think you have said most of the things to advance scientific knowledge and improve our lives, and ethical mandate to make results available in timely manner, maintain public trust in research, transparency, enhance visibility of research. So you can see that I didn't say enhance visibility of researcher. Okay. Enhance visibility of research is very important. And what happens when you enhance the visibility of research? What about the researcher?
He also becomes visible, sir.
Yep. I have been interviewed by many organizations. I've been interviewed by BBC, Reuters. I've interviewed CNN about the work I have done. They didn't find me first. They found my research first. And so if your research is visible, automatically that name that carries with that research is visible. But make your research visible first. Get it out there for the purpose of place. Is it morning somewhere? That cock crowing there, can you ask it? Or you mute yourself? If you cannot control it, just mute yourself. We are not interested in that one. Demonstrate credibility of work. All right. Choosing a journal. How do you choose a journal? Factors to consider: the aims and scope of the journal. The journal you want to submit, does it cover what you have written? And this is where sometimes researchers and scientists make mistake. Oh, your friend published in Lancet. My next paper, I will send it to Lancet. I will send it to Lancet. And then you have written something in computer science, and then you send to Lancet. Lancet will be wondering, who sent this paper? Because Lancet publish is a medical journal, public health and medical journal. And because Lancet is the toughest journal in the world, judging by impact factor. And then because your colleague sent to Lancet and published there, and he's proud of it, then I will send to Lancet. Does Lancet cover the topic you have written about? This one is not the type you go to the barber shop and said, please do it, like, give me the hairstyle of my friend. And one of my teachers used to say that your friend's face is different. The head is different. So if you ask the barber to give you the hairstyle of your friend, you may come out and you will not even recognize yourself. So tell the barber, barb it according to my head. All right. So you need to ensure that what you have written is what the journal publishes. All right. Then the article type. Some journals publish certain articles. For instance, not every journal publishes review, expert review, or systematic review, or those other ones. Some journals perhaps publish only original articles. So if you have a review, You have to check, does the journal publish reviews? All right, then you make a decision. Reputation is one of the things that people consider. There is a link I have provided here. You can use it to check if a journal you are thinking about is a genuine journal or is a predatory journal. Many Africans have become victims of this quack. I don't know if everybody here understand what quack is. Very, very unprofessional publish, because you want to publish to get promotion. People send things to India. A husband and wife wake up someday and they call it one Journal of Transformational Head or something like that. You send your this thing there, and then you pay $100, you pay $150, you pay $200, and then they goodness me, that is not, don't do that. There are many genuine journals that you can publish without paying $1. There are many genuine journals that you can publish without paying $1. In fact, many of the journals in the West, many of top journals have consideration for papers coming from low and middle income countries. That is true. Unless they are not good papers, unless they are not well written, unless that the research they have done is not good enough, and so you can publish without paying. There is one rule. I don't think I have not since my career. I have now I have published over 150 papers. Yes, I think it's a little bit over that. And since I started my career, I have not published any of these papers by paying. All right, I have not published that by paying. Okay, unless this, what happens is this. In terms of the review process, is I publish free, and anybody can do that, because the genuine journals usually don't charge for reviewing your paper. Now, there is a place I have paid. Okay, it is whether to make the paper open access or not. Open access means that anybody can access it anywhere free of charge. A journal may publish your paper, but it's not open access, meaning that if you want to get that paper, you subscribe to the journal. All right. And in Sweden here, some institutions, and my institution is included, has a government mandate, and the government is supporting that when you publish, you should make it open access, and the government will pay the open access money. So my PhD student, anybody who is connected, when they publish, is free of charge for open access, not the review process. So don't pay money for review process, because you can do your paper without paying that money. But I see that many Africans have become victims of those Indian predatory journals. Now, there is something I will send to you later today. Those in this course, please help me to do that. In SFI, the first half of next year, what we want to do, and I'm saying this, I'm not saying it now so that you don't come on Sunday. Please come on Sunday and hear more of what we plan to do. The first half of next year, what we want to do is to survey the landscape of African journals. And so I will send you a very small survey later today. I want to collect information. You have come from different fields. Give us information. What journal in Africa, I mean Africa, not South Africa, is in your field. All right, give us the name. If you know the name of the editor, give us the name. We want to collect this information. So if you have 20 journals in your field, list them out. We want to work on them. So between January and June next year, we want to look at what makes African scientists not willing, or what factors determine their ability to publish in African journals. What is the cause? Because I know many African scientists want to publish outside Africa, publish in journals outside Africa. What are the causes? We want to understand these issues. What journals are there? How do they operate? What is their nature of publishing? So the first half of next year, we want to do that. All right. And for SFI, we are going to also learn from that, because as I told you, we are planning to launch a journal. And you don't need to like what I'm saying to believe. We will do our best to. And of course, you need to support us. Then, second half of next year, once we have done the issue of publishing, second half of next year, we want to also go into the landscape of funding, the issue of funding. Who is funding what? What are the barriers for receiving funding amongst Africans? What is the contribution of government for scientific research funding from international organizations, from the third sector, like Pantaleon mentioned? Who is contributing to what? What are their motivations? What are the barriers? So these things, we want to survey them. And I've told you, this platform is there to see how we can begin to make these discussions and find a way how we can move forward. So please join us in this journey. So don't be a victim of these predatory journals, because it's avoidable. Yeah, it's avoidable. It's avoidable. All right. Credentials and track record. Yep. Credential and track record. Some journals have credentials and they have track record. They are booming. They are strong in their area. And across the field we are represented here, you should be able to know those journals. I was speaking to, who was that yesterday? Was it Chechi who was asking that question? How do I choose? And I was saying that once you start working in a field, one of the first things you should do is to make a list. Have it by your wall in your office or close to your table, wherever, or make a file in your computer. List of the journals that are publishing research from your field. From the top, the biggest ones to the smallest ones in terms of their credential and their track record. And then we have the issue of impact. Impact. Many journals have impact factor, and many researchers are driven by this in terms of submitting their paper. It's not bad, but you need to ensure it is not just to send to a journal with impact factor. There are some caveats that come from that, meaning that if you're sending to a high impact factor journal, you need to have a very good research to be able to go there. All right. You also have journal readership and reach. Is it a local journal? Is it a regional journal? It's an international journal. It's an international journal. All right. Peer review process. Is it open? Is it blinded? How long does it take? It's how easy is the submission process? These are factors that affect choice of a journal to submit. Nowadays I rarely submit. I have my researchers, my PhD student who do the submission. But when I was doing it, usually I don't like journals that have complicated submission process. All right. Mode of publication and right. Is it open access? Is it conventional? Cost and services are things that influence the choice of journals. And this is the journal submission peer review process. You submit the manuscript is assessed by the editor. At this level, it can be rejected. It can be rejected. If the editor thinks that your manuscript does not achieve sufficient priority for sending it for publishing in that journal, if it's not achieving high enough priority, it's rejected by editor. If the editor thinks that, well, there is potential here, it can send it to reviewers. All right, and reviewers will assess that. And once reviewers have assessed that, it can be reject it. It can be further revision needed. Sometimes it can be minor. It can be major. Rarely do you get a decision after assessment by reviewers in which the editor accepts it immediately. And rarely do you get a submission at this level and it's accepted. That is rare. This one here has happened once in my career, where the reviewers, after reviewing, said, accept without revision, accept without revision. So 3 reviewers had the same agreement, and the editor sent. And when the editor sent it, I was surprised. What? Is this possible? Yeah, I don't know what happened. I don't think it was such an excellent paper, but it was so surprising. Anyway, that can happen. And then it's accepted. It's goes to production and publication. That is the way it works. All right. Before submitting, please ensure that you have followed the journal guidelines in terms of number of pages, in terms of line numbers, indentation, titles. Follow them. Oh, follow them, because they can reject it because of this. They will see that you are too stubborn to follow instructions. All right, please follow what they have. And if a journal rejects your paper, before you send to another journal, check what they have and ensure that you have formatted to that journal, the new journal. All right, I see Nelson, have your hand up, please.
Prof, I have a question related to the previous slide. I would like to understand what the difference of credential and reputation. I think it's not the before that one. Credential and the track records, yeah, of the journal.
Yep.
Isn't the same thing?
Not necessarily. All right. You see, for instance, the journal Science or Nature. They have strong credential. You agree?
Prof, I can't get you, sorry.
I mean, the journal Science or Nature, all right, they have high credentials.
Yes.
But if you look at their track record, they can easily be manipulated by the industry. And you know, the research that comes from the industry can be manipulated. All right.
Okay.
And because they can charge to publish open access, so they can get themselves mingled with things that really are not so scientific. If you look at some of the frauds that have come, some of the high impact frauds that have come in science, many of them are published in Nature and Science and those top journals.
Okay.
And the question people have is that if these journals are so tough, so top like this, how is it that these people still able to go through the review system without being tracked? And it is only later when readers begin to find out that, oh, this was not well done. And then the journal will retract it. So globally, those journals have top credentials. But track record, what have they actually done? I hope it's clear for you.
Thank you, Professor. It's clear.
All right. Let me see who has the hand again. I think I saw another hand. Okay, Marcella Abene. Marcella.
Hi, Prof.
Yeah, Marcella, where are you joining from? That name looks interesting, but I don't know where that is. Where are you coming from?
I'm from Ghana.
From Ghana. Wow. It looks like a name of a colleague of mine that came from Rwanda some time ago. But it's good that you are a closer neighbor. Go ahead, Marcella.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you so much for an insightful presentation so far. So my question, when Nelson asked us to go back, I was looking at mode of publication and rights. Please, I don't get the rights part. Rights of who, please? Thank you.
Yeah, mode of publication, right? Yeah. So when you have you publish open access, okay? You now own the work. The copyright is with you.
Okay.
The researcher owns that work because it's open access. If it's conventional is people pay to read the paper. And different journals can operate that in different ways. They can have shared rights with the author or sole right. So you have to decide which of those you go for. And some of them have the right for the author. So if, for instance, now you're writing your thesis and you would like to include a figure from your thesis, from a paper in the thesis, before you can do that, you need to make a request from the journal. And so if the right for permission is with the author, then the journal will contact the author. There is a request to use your figure in a thesis, and then you can grant that request, right? Or if the journal is one that hosts the right, then the journal can grant. So that is how this works.
And this is different from the predatory journals. This is a totally different process.
I don't know.
The payments that we are talking about is different from having to pay for the review process.
Yeah, so you pay for review process, which is not right. You shouldn't pay for review process.
Okay.
You can't pay for review process because that is already implicated, because he who pays the piper determines the tune. You can't pay for review process because the review process in the scientific circle is a kind of humanitarian work you're doing to the field. Okay. So we do it free of charge. So if a journal is collecting money from you to review your paper, then something is fishy. It's already a sign that is not a genuine journal. But here, when you look at the open access I have mentioned here, you can have open access, and the only way you can have open access is when the authors pay the open access for it to be free. So the review process has been finished, but you want to make it available. So, for instance, in Sweden here, it's mandatory to make it available because the government wants that knowledge to be available to everyone without restriction.
Thank you, Prof.
All right. Let me see. Anyone still has a hand? I have Dumisani home.
Okay, thanks, Prof.
Yeah,
I have
Dumisani, where are you joining from? That name is also interesting.
I'm joining from South Africa, Prof.
South Africa, all right, go ahead.
Prof, I've just got two questions. Like the first one being on the citations. Like for instance, what drives one's paper to be cited? For instance, like you happen to publish in a high impact journal, but you find that you are not receiving citations. Like how can one try to increase now those citations? And secondly, what is your view, Prof, on the peer-reviewed working papers in terms of their weight as compared to the journals?
No, I didn't get the last question. Can you ask that again?
Can you come again?
The second question, I didn't get that.
Oh, like what is your view around the working papers, like a peer-reviewed working paper, in terms of its weight according to the review? Like in terms of if you say now you want to go up, can you take now the working papers along the lines of the journal articles?
What do you mean working papers?
Working papers, like sometimes there are some, listen, now you are still working on a paper. Now you publish now the paper with an institution, but now the paper is reviewed. But now it's called a working paper. It's not called, you didn't publish it in a journal, but you publish it like with that particular institution. Maybe it can be a university.
So it's like a technical report. You have a technical report. Is it what you mean?
No, it's not what I mean. It's like, for instance, I was asked by one institution here in South Africa, it's a research council. They were looking for people who can write papers for them, like working papers for them. Then now that process it undergo some reviews, like why I had to write again to improve the.
Yeah, what kind of institutions are those?
It's a research council.
Research council. And what did they use those papers for?
They use the papers just to publicize what they were doing.
They are
like
doing
now,
yeah.
like
So those are not, and you writing it, you did not do that work, isn't it? You did not do that. So I think this is similar to a technical report, I would say. But those institutions are using it to publicize what they are doing and so on and so forth. That is really you can include it in your CV. Okay, you can include it in your CV. You can include it in your list of publications in this part of the world. Now, when you talk about publications, and for instance, you want to apply for promotion, you want to apply for funding, you want to apply. So they have a way you should list your publication. First is original publication. And then you have others. And others could be thesis, technical reports, things like this working paper you have listed, reviews, and so on and so forth, books, chapters. So there's a place for it when you are looking at comprehensively the productivity of a scientist. But those are not grouped at the same level as original publication in a journal. Okay.
Yeah.
Then how do you increase your chances of being cited? Oh, that is a very interesting question. And actually, one of our tips and tricks for next year will be about that, but from a perspective of the scientists and the social media. The first is this: if you want to increase your chance of being published, is to write a good paper. So the rules we have talked about this week, you need to follow them. If you follow them and your paper is easy to understood, it will be easy to be cited. It's just the way it works. Now, the second thing is figures. Figures and charts can be a source of shooting you up. You know, many people nowadays, they go to conferences, and if you have a figure in your paper, if you search that paper in Google, what will happen is that Google will automatically extract the figures from your paper. So if somebody is looking at your paper and wants to cite your paper in a conference, or they will take the figure you have put there. It's easy for them to do that. And so when you have good figures in your paper, there's likelihood of increasing your chance of publishing. I mean, citing, sorry, not publishing. The other thing is this: many scientists are in the social media. I'm not talking about Facebook. Facebook is not included. You are in LinkedIn, you are in Twitter, you are in what is again? Some professional listing. And what you do there is that you do all kinds of things that are not related to your science. If you want to increase your chances of being cited, you can use those social media platforms also to say your message of what you're doing. You publish a paper, you can write 2 or 3 lines of what we have found, and you can attach your paper if it's open access and let colleagues read. That is one. The second thing is that places like LinkedIn have some groups there. Find a group in your field and join them. Include your publications there. What will happen is that people begin to identify you, and then automatically with time they begin to cite you. There's another one called ResearchGate. ResearchGate. I don't know how many of you belong there. It's a place to also bring on board your publications, put them there. And that can include things like the working paper you have written, you have mentioned, all those can be put there. So make use of these platforms that will help to increase your possibility of being cited. Then final thing is this. Who is making noise? All right, the final thing I want to tell you is this. Many scientists think that solo publication or sole publication is good. It has lots of disadvantages. If you widen your collaboration, it will help you to get cited. Now, you're writing a paper, you invite somebody like me. No, don't invite me because I don't have time really. But you invite somebody like me, you invite the other person, you invite somebody from South Africa, you invite somebody from Kenya, from Ghana, from Nigeria to form a team to write. And I tell you, and that's one of the things I mentioned when we started here, find a way to collaborate, network. You see, because there are those who know the person from South Africa that don't know you. But because you publish, when it's cited, you'll be cited. There are those who know somebody from Nigeria that don't know you. But because they know somebody in Nigeria and they see their work, they cited, you'll be cited. So collaboration and networking can increase your chances of being cited. And then the utility of your research can make life easy. All right, I hope that answers your question. Let's take a 10 minutes break. I know some people are raising their hands there, but let's come back 10 minutes past this hour. I've taken you almost 2 hours now without releasing you. Let me have pity on you, and I hope you understand that. When we come back, we'll see how many hands are still up. All right, see you in a bit. Please, you can use this time now to fill in the evaluation if you have not done so yet. Okay, let's kick it going. I put this thing here, the evaluation form here again, please. If you are not done that, please do so. Just a minute. Let me. Okay. Keep the evaluation coming. Keep it coming, so that we can put things into perspective. Okay, I have Lyndon Saki, please.
Thank you very much, Prof.
Lyndon, are you joining from Zambia or?
No, I'm from Ghana.
From Ghana, all right.
Yes, I'm joining from Ghana. Thank you very much, Prof, for the opportunity, and I'm really enjoying the workshop or the training. From the presentation, I want to find out from you, with your vast experience, can you give me some characteristics or properties of how you can easily identify a genuine journal and then a predatory journal? And then the second question is that I know that we have two types of publication. That is the open access and then the conventional, the traditional one. Here in the open access, some of the journals, even though they are open access, they don't charge any money, but others charge. What happens to that? I just want to know why others charge and others don't charge.
What do you mean the
open access, the review process after your paper has been accepted for publication?
Mm-hmm.
Some of the journal, even though they are open access, they don't charge you any publication fee. Article publication charges, they don't have them. They still publish without taking money from you.
Yeah, did they take money from you during the review?
They don't take any money.
Okay.
No charges at all.
It's strange to see that. It's strange to see that. So I don't know.
But some of them are the Springer Journal. Some of them have this opportunity.
So what happens is this: maybe you're speaking about researchers from low and middle income countries.
Yes, low and middle income countries.
Yeah. So many of these journals have those concessions for them, which is automatic. So when they see your submitting country, then your paper will be published open access without charging you. Okay, and that is a program made available by, I think it's the WHO, called the HINARI program.
Oh, okay.
In which there is an agreement with several top international journals to support researchers from low and middle income countries. Some of them is totally free. Some of them, there is a reduced, or they call it discounted fee. So I think that is where that can happen.
And Prof, in your submission, you were asking one question, that collaboration is very good. I agree with you. But what I realized is that, some of us from this part of the United States, Africa, some of us probably don't have a grant, you don't have the funding. So when you are collaborating with somebody from outside, let's say Europe or any other developed country, and you want to publish, because you have this developed country person in there, now they want to charge money, because the pay is not coming from a lower or middle income country.
Who wants to charge money?
Some of us.
Who wants to charge money?
The journal.
Yeah. So if your collaborator from Europe is the lead or submitting author, because the waiver they have is dependent on who is submitting the paper. So if you have somebody who is submitting it or correspondence author coming from the developed countries. So there is likelihood they will charge you for that. Okay.
Is when the one from the developed countries not having funding or grants, then your paper cannot go any further.
Yeah, so you have to find the money because the money is here. You should even tell them find the money there. The money is there.
Okay, thank you. And
They
then
can be stingy.
Yes, yes. And then the question between distinction of characteristics of the genuine and the predatory journal.
Yeah. So I will put a link here. I will put it there. I think that website is good. Think Check Summit. So they pride themselves to help you to identify journals that are not trusted. You shouldn't trust. So that's the link you can use. Everybody, you can have that link. It's also in the presentation. So when you get it later today, you can find it there. All right, Zacchaeus.
Thank you, sir. Prof. First of all, I want us to give us those were Western journal that we can publish, the link we can get. That is number one. Number two, you talk about people that have referral charges. To me, in African, it has become a kind of so-called norms that if you are submitting, you should submit with evidence of referral, the payment for referral. And you said something that is so chill, that is so important, that it's a social service, that anybody who is reviewing for any organization should see it as a social service. How will you help us to let our people understand this
concept, so that this service, you said something that he will pay the piper dictate the tune?
I am doing that already. Zacchaeus, I'm doing that through you now.
Okay.
We have 300 people who register for this course. Not all of them have time, but those who have come here, I am doing that. And I hope when you leave this course tomorrow, you become a disciple of doing good science. Some of these issues are the motivation for why we want to bring the SFI journal. So you can meet yourself, Zacchaeus. Let's say.
Okay. Thank you.
Why we want to bring that up, and the format we want to take is the papers will be published, and we will retain the rights. But if you want it open access, then you can pay for that to have it free. But in terms of reviewing, anybody who is reviewing and is being paid, tell them that is not right. In fact, you run from them like you're running from a leprous person, because that is not the way it should be. So if some African journals have adopted that for you to pay money to review, don't do that. To give you the names of journals, international journals you can publish is actually, I don't know if there's anybody who can help you to do that in the world, because you're talking about thousands of journals scattered all over different fields. So what you would do is, if you go to Google, it's very easy. If you're working in cardiology, you write journals in cardiology. And then when those journals appear, you check their countries, you check their publisher. That will tell you where they are coming from. And perhaps if you're interested in impact factor things, you can check their impact factor. That could also give you an indication of how important that journal is. But to have a list, with ASFI, we are thinking with what we'll do, this list you will give us from today when I send the link to you, we'll have a place on our website to collect some of this information, at least, that can help you to streamline which journals are reasonably helpful for you to publish your research. All right, Neka, and then Wajiha.
Thank you, Doc. Sorry, please, I have a question. Is an advice. I need an advice. I have a research I did. Let's say, for instance, in 50 sessions of plants, but then 20, let me use cocoyam, for example, 20 taro and 30 tania. And I want to...
What are those you're calling? You're making me salivate now, Neka.
Sorry, they are cocoyam species.
Okay.
And what I did was a genetic diversity study. And I'm trying to, I worked on 50 samples. I sampled 12 states in Nigeria. But now I want to publish the paper. But there are a lot of information which I don't think can contain in just one paper. That was my PhD work. Just leaving it in one as a journal is really bulky. So I'm now thinking of splitting the paper in the sense that there are a lot of information which I didn't even put in the PhD thesis. The 50 sessions.
So what advice are you looking for from me now?
Okay, I'm asking, is it okay to
that is fine. That is fine. So the advice I was giving yesterday, somebody was asking splitting the papers. When you do a research work, you can publish several papers from there. All right. But what is not allowed is when you begin to split them into, you know, the fork there. You know, the fork you used to eat. You begin to cut one and begin to divide it to, you use this one to eat. And each of those you cut becomes a fork on its own. You understand what I mean? To use them to eat, they go together. So splitting your paper in a way that you have ulterior motive because you want to increase the number of publications is not right. But when you have, in this kind of situation, there's so much data, you can't, it's difficult for the reader to comprehend all of them in one paper. Then find a good way to divide them. What you're aiming for there now is simplicity and clarity. And actually, there could be different questions from that data you have gathered.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Wajiha, please.
Yeah, good morning all. Good morning, Prof. We hope you are doing great.
Yes, as you can hear me, I'm doing great.
Yeah, how is the kid? Yesterday your kid was ill. We hope she's better.
Yeah, they are getting better.
Okay. Please, with regard to the publication, I just want to add like something. Usually I'm from Kano, Nigeria. IITA. Mostly, as you said, we don't like collaboration. If you want to write a robust paper, actually you need people to make their input. So if thoroughly internally you people have reviewed it, it's very easy for it to pass through a paper, a high impact paper, to go through review process and pass it. But most people, especially the ones in academia, the promotion process does not enhance any paper. If you just have a publication, no matter the quality of the journal, is accepted for publication. But one good advice you gave us yesterday is that we should publish not for promotion, but we should publish for the sake of our integrity. And second thing, most of Asian papers, I am not saying all, but they are not good papers. So people should try and know how you say, you cannot, we researchers, you are the one to identify how fishy a paper is. You can have it with a very good content, but most of predatory journals, they don't have good methodology. You can't find the actual science correlating between the topic, the content, and the methodology of it. So it's one of the ways to identify journals, even when you are reading or searching for a literature review, before you submit your own. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Okay, let's move on. Let's finish this up so that you can go for your break. All right, we have done this. The cover letter. Now you have formatted, you have chosen the journal, the cover letter. All right. So once it is formatted, you have to draft. I think I would have even highlighted it. You have to draft what is called a compelling cover letter, which you address to the editor, and it accompanies the submitted manuscript. The cover letter is the first thing the editor reads. That is the first thing the editor reads. And then with this, the editor will get impression of you and your paper, okay? So you need to write it with care. All right, you need to write it with care. You see, sometimes we are good professionals, but our manners is not good. As individuals, our manner is not good. All right, and I always tell people this: you are not paid by the number of hours you spend at work. People are not paid by the number of hours. You have to know this. You are paid, your salary is determined by the value you bring into a system. I don't know if somebody got me. You are not paid by the number of hours. Some people will go to work and they spend there from morning, they spend there to evening, so even sleep there, thinking that, oh, if I work. But I tell you, some people may go there and spend some 6 hours and others spend 12 hours. Those who spend 6 hours eventually get it, get the promotion, get higher pay. It is the value you bring. The point I'm making here is that don't be so much beclouded with your professional status that you lose the value of being a human being first. You need to be a human being. And that should reflect even when you articulate your science. You write a letter, write it in a way that is convincing, is compelling. It shows some value. All right? You make yourself in a system you go. Oh, well, this is not a leadership course, but SFI has Art of Leadership in Science course. Make yourself indispensable. Make yourself indispensable. And what I mean by that is that even if you leave the system remembers you because of the value you bring. Some people are in a system, they continue to share flowers. Their work is to share flowers. If they hear this story, they pass it around. Have you heard that? Have you heard? They are the what they call newspaper people in the place. Everybody hears them. Make yourself indispensable. Bring value to a system. Now, Zacchaeus was asking me, how do you tell Africans? This is a platform we have set up. And I'm happy to say that many of you have connected and are doing things great. We're happy with that. And if we're able to achieve it, influencing 50 people in Africa, I think that is a good job done. Those 50 people can go and make changes. So you have to bring value in your work as a scientist. Let the ultimate goal of science itself drive what you are doing. When that drives what you're doing, even in your articulation of little things as having a cover letter, it reflects what you are trying to do. So please get in touch. The first class here, I mentioned that we can form a WhatsApp group from those who have attended this course. I don't know, I saw some links being sent around. Do you have a WhatsApp group for the participants in this course? Did anybody organize that? I'm not sure who was trying to organize that last time. or is it only the group? Okay, if you like that, because I see some of you already writing, I would like collaboration in this area. I think once you finish this course and you have a group like that, this conversation of looking for collaborators can continue. Let's create value.
Very good idea.
Let's create value. Let's create value. I'm not talking about the group WhatsApp only. I'm talking about the whole class. All right. If anybody can organize that, if you can organize a WhatsApp group, you send it out to us, and then anybody who wants to join can join. I would like to be there, so you put me, you include me there. Okay. I think that will help to create long-lasting opportunities and network. Okay, I see what happens in other groups, and I think I like what is that people send information, and people can collaborate from there. Okay, the cover letter. Now look at this. I call it poor cover letter. Look at how this person has written. And this can already tell you a lot about the person. Because I said from the previous slide, the editor will get impression of you and your paper. The editor will get impression of you and your paper. All right? Yeah, Zacchaeus, we have, if you have not been visiting the YouTube channel, every recording is there, and this will go there as well. All right, look at what this has written. I am sending you our manuscript entitled This by Researcher. We would like to have the manuscript considered for publication in pathobiology. Please let me know of your decision at your earliest convenience. With my best regard. How does this sound to you?
Not a professional one.
Informal.
Informal?
Yes.
Not professional?
No. Commanding.
Yes.
It's commanding.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's look at the other one.
Not detailed.
Not detailed.
Not
Okay.
detailed.
Now.
Nothing about the manuscript.
Yeah. There is one I will send to you now. That is the one you have on your screen. So you can have a copy of that. It's for your eyes only. Please don't share it. Okay. Of course, it is for a paper that has been published. But now look at this paper deals with the role of hormonal contraceptives in the development of asthma in reproductive age women. All right. That is what we did in this study. And this is my cover letter. Okay. So after reading it, you give me an impression. Now, this is how I started. I have addressed the editor. I have put my own affiliation and email and dates. Please, when you write me, don't use this email. Use the SFI email because I don't want to be bombarded and mixed with my work email. Okay. All right. Sylvia, you are interrupting, raising your hand. Let's hear you, Sylvia.
Sorry, Prof.
Go ahead.
Thanks. Sorry. Hello, Prof. It was a mistake. Sorry.
Oh, it was a mistake. All right.
Yes, sorry.
Okay, let's move. Okay, so now I started. Sex-related differences in the development and clinical manifestation of asthma have been described over decades. Female sex steroids have been implicated, but despite many years of work, the underlying evidence remains equivocal. Recently, we performed a systematic review and meta-analysis that comprehensively synthesized the evidence linking female sex steroids to asthma in women. Then I cite the paper. This synthesis identifies several limitations with the current evidence base, including small sample sizes, studies, limited use of longitudinal study designs, and a failure to account for important selection information and confounding biases. In order to overcome these major limitations, we used the Optimum Patient Care Research Database to conduct a longitudinal cohort of reproductive age women 16 to 45 years to investigate the role of hormonal contraceptive subtypes and duration of use in the development of new onset asthma. In total, we had over 500,000 women who met our inclusion criteria, who were followed for up to 17 years, resulting in 3.6 million person years of follow-up. Our results show that women who use hormonal contraceptives currently or previously were at 30 to 54% reduced risk of developing new onset asthma compared to women who did not use hormonal contraceptives. These observed benefits were seen both with use of combined and progestogen-only therapies. We also found that the longer duration of use of hormonal contraceptives, the greater the benefit. Thus, women who use hormonal contraceptives for 5 years had more protection than those who use it for 3 to 4 years, and those who use it for 3 to 4 years had more protection than those who use it for 1 to 2 years. Our pre-specified analysis plan involved adjustment for a range of potential confounders and sensitivity analysis, which demonstrated the robustness of our findings. In summary, we therefore submit for your consideration the largest and most robust investigation into this subject ever undertaken, with compelling, clinically relevant findings. We believe that this paper will be of considerable interest to the international readership of this journal. The submitted material is original, has not been previously published, and is not under consideration elsewhere while submitted to the journal. All authors report no conflict of interest related to this submission and approve the final submitted manuscript. All right, let me hear your reaction. What do you think compared to the previous ones?
Prof. To me, I think it looks good, but it's also too detailed. Why am I saying that? Because some of the things you've written, especially from the third paragraph, I think it might be in your work already. So what I know about cover letter is that at least telling the editor about a little of your work and the importance and how it's going to help the journal. That's what I'm thinking. Thank you very much.
Yeah, all right. Any other? Let me see the hands raised. I have Eman, please.
Yes, for me, the same thing. I thought that the cover letter should be a little bit less details than this. Only mention the title, the importance of this study, what is the new, the novelty. This is my thought about the better cover letter. But this one changed my mind. So I have to add more details to show up my novelty and the importance of this of my work. Thank you.
All right, then I have Charles Olupot.
Thank you very much, Prof. I think this other letter here is more appealing and convincing, especially in arousing the interest of the journal. And they will actually begin even to make, I think, some initial thoughts, and we to be able to have that interest in the journal. And of course, they will have that little bit of detail gives them idea that yes, this journal is really relevant to us and we need to consider it. So I think it's a good way, and it shows some level of seriousness and commitment really in the journal.
All right, I have Alex Chanza.
Thank you, Prof. I think to me, General Charles kind of preempted, but the issue is, to me, I see lots of seriousness in this. I see that it has expressed the novelty of the idea and the justification. In other words, I know the strength in this is the justification why the editor should feel compelled to bring it out. Thank you so much, Prof. Yeah.
All right, then I have Doris.
Hello, Prof.
Yes, please.
Is really convincing, and I would like maybe to even make something like this in future. But I just have one comment here. I've seen several editors or maybe journals specifying exactly what they need in their cover letter. Some even go as far as sending samples. So in that case, what do we do? But
I mean,
for
if a journal gives you a sample and wants you to follow that, then follow that. Okay.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
But there is free. I give free hand. This is very confusing. Thank you, Prof.
All right. Then I have Portia and Monica, and we'll move on.
Oh, thank you so much. I like the content of your letter. The fact that
Thank you.
giving
Thank
a
you.
background
Thank you.
on
Thank you.
So I think the first 3 paragraphs can be reduced so that the letter wouldn't be too long. Thank you very much.
All right. Then finally, Monica, please.
Okay, yeah, Prof, I can say this cover letter is compelling. Like some commentators here said, yeah, since you have it in your manuscript, why bringing it up like this? This will reduce the effort of the publisher to going into your manuscript. It's a summary of everything you have, and it's actually quite compelling. I like it, and if I'm a publisher, I will accept the article. Thank
All
you.
right. Okay. I think if I start from what Monica has said, you see, what I have done here, the cover letter, first of all, is to, are there business people here who have been involved in selling products to get people to buy your product? Are there business? Okay. You see, the cover letter, I draft the cover letter so that the editor does not need to go to my abstract and work before they can even think about my paper. I want to bridge that process. I want to tell them this paper is for you. All right. And unless a journal gives you length issue, right, or gives you a template, you have the freedom to use the space you have to convince the editor. Mind you, this also depends on where you're submitting. This journal, at the time this paper was submitted, it was the toppest journal in allergy. It was the toppest journal. So getting your paper into this journal is not easy. Oh, it's not easy. Perhaps if I'm writing it to a very low journal, my detail could change. But because I don't want to make 2 offers, I want to make 1 offer. All right? Then I have to strike the chord.
So if I may ask, was it accepted?
Of course.
Okay.
Accepted, of course. Why not? It was accepted. All right. Because when the editor reads this, because the previous work we did, I cited there, was published in that journal. All right. That gives him an indication that this is a serious thing. If we have published a previous work in this, and these guys have progressed, then there is no reason to say no. But I have to strike, and I strike the first chord, and I want the first chord to go. I don't want to make the journal. And that is how in all the papers I submit now, I want to strike the first chord. And the cover letter is a place to demonstrate your seriousness. All right. So the cover letter is there to provide a basis why the editor should consider your work, why the editor should think that your work is interesting. All right. So you need to go to your paper and make sure you include background, some background to the paper, the key findings, all right, to demonstrate to the editor that this will be relevant to the readership of the paper. And then you state the other things I've stated there, the issues of conflicts and things like that. I agree with you. It's very detailed, but I tell you, in this detail, editor will not read it and feel sleepy. Editor will read it with interest, even though it's detailed. I don't know if you disagree with me on that, but that is what
now I agree with you. At least I've learned something new from you, and I have to implement it. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay. Nelson?
Prof, I would like to know if we should cite something. Is it mandatory?
No, it's not mandatory.
I see some citations.
It's not mandatory. I cited it because it's relevant to what I am doing. So I'm building the background.
Okay.
All right. It's not mandatory at all.
Oh, thank you.
All right. So check that they had to craft, check that the journal requires cover letter. If required, write a letter that explains why the editor will be interested in your work. The following structure covers the necessary point, address the editor by name, include the date of submission. First paragraph, include the title of your manuscript, brief background to your study, the question you sought to answer and why. Second paragraph, concisely explain what was done, give main findings and why they are important. Third paragraph, indicate why the readers of the journal would be interested in the work. Take your cues from the journal's aims and scope. All cover letters should contain these sentences. We confirm that this manuscript has not been published elsewhere and it's not under consideration by another journal. All authors have approved the manuscript and agree with its submission to the journal. This is very, very important. Very, very important. Okay. So please do your best. I see that there are several WhatsApp being created. Please let us harmonize them and know the one that is right. And when we know the one that is right, and I think one of you should have my WhatsApp number, you can send it to my WhatsApp number and I can join you. Now, your paper has gone and the editor is happy, sent it to reviewers, and reviewers have now provided revision, comment for you to revise. All right, so you have to revise it and then you send it to the editor, and the editor can make a decision or send it back to the reviewers before it's accepted. Now, this is an editorial letter. Your paper has been examined by 2 expert reviewers. Unfortunately, we must decline this manuscript for publication. The reasons for this decision are indicated in the reviewer's comments. Example 2, decline for now, future acceptance possible. Your paper has been examined by 2 expert reviewers. For the reasons explained in the comments, we cannot accept this manuscript for publication in this journal. We would consider a revised version that takes these criticisms into account, but cannot offer assurance that submission of a revised manuscript will lead to acceptance. You see, when you get this offer now, there is potential. And the only thing that will make it to fall is if you don't respond appropriately. And this is where many researchers fail, many writers fail. They go and start arguing with the reviewers. They begin to put, yeah, you can do whatever you want to do, but actually you need to respond. You see, when we started the first day, I showed you how to argue. Respond to the key points. Don't get angry at the reviewer. This reviewer doesn't like me. Why will you be making that comment? It's not about you. It's about what you have done. All right. And then you get nervous, and then you begin to make mistakes and begin to attack the reviewers. That is not the way you should respond. All right. Number 3, decline for now, future acceptance, very likely. Your paper has been examined by 2 expert reviewers. As you will see in their comment, each reviewer finds merit in the work, but makes constructive suggestions. Please consider the suggestions carefully. As changes, we produce an article that better serves you and our readers. Okay. Top 10 tips for responding to reviewer and editor comments. Get mad, then get over it. Yeah, The reviewer has provided it. Why will you be writing? Get mad, but let your madness remain inside only. Get over it. Consider what the editor's decision letter really says. Wait and gather your thoughts. Wait and gather your thoughts. Sleep over it. Many times they don't give you respond by tomorrow. They give you some weeks. They give you some months. So get over it and then start putting it together. When you're putting it together, put the emotions. You can read that letter again over 10 times. Then you begin to see that your mind begins to shift from the emotion to the key issues. All right. Wait. Yeah. Even if the reviewer is wrong, it does not mean you are right. Choose your battles wisely. Do not pit one reviewer against another. Be grateful for the reviewers and editors' time. Restate the reviewers or editors' comment when responding. Be prepared to cut text. Do not submit the same version to another journal, meaning that you should submit a revised paper, even if you're sending it to another journal. All right. Before we go to group 11, let me share with you also. Let me share with you letter of reviewers. Yeah, response. When the editor now ask us to revise where I have submitted this paper, so we revise it and responded to the reviewer's comment, and so I have shared that with the reviewers response to reviewers comment on the chat box. So now we see this. So now I am now responding. Thank you. I have addressed the editor. Thank you for the invitation to submit a revision of our paper. We have now revised the paper on the basis of the reviewer's comments. Below, we also provide point-by-point responses to the comment raised by the reviewers. We thank the reviewers for their valuable and critical feedback, which have helped us to improve our paper. And at the end of it, I also, yours sincerely, and included all the authors there. So the issue is this: when you're responding, you need to respond carefully. These are the comments mentioned. I have done this, and I have included the line where they can find what I have done for each of these. All right. Well, they have defined this, even though we also did define it, but have now made the definition clearer. All right. Okay. One thing you have to know is that the reviewer is a reader. So their impression of your work also allows you to see the clarity in what you have done. So don't think that somebody is attacking you. Somebody doesn't like you. They have not even seen your face. I don't know whether many of you have your pictures on Google, where the reviewer will go and search looking at your picture. This person doesn't look good. Well, no, it's not the case. All right. So you respond appropriately, and you have this text with you there, and I hope it can, when you read it, it can help you to think about how you respond to your reviewers. So let's take a question from Bekalu, and then we invite group number 11 to tell us about their nuggets. Yes, Bekalu.
Okay.
Bekalu,
okay,
where are you joining from?
Okay, thank you, Prof, for giving me this chance. My question is, some journals are saying that in editorial process,
Bekalu, you need to speak louder. I can't hear you properly.
Okay, some journals in editorial process are saying decision in process.
Bekalu, you're speaking like you don't want to wake somebody from sleep. Can you add some strength?
Okay, shall I write?
Yeah.
Shall I write?
Go ahead. Go ahead and speak. Let's see if we get you.
Okay. In some journals.
Yeah.
They are in editorial process. In editorial process, they are saying editing decision in process. Not after reviewing, but before reviewing.
So, I will ask you to write because I couldn't get that point.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
All right, Rhoda, let's hear you.
Yes, Prof. My lines went off when you were talking about interaction with the reviewers. So I didn't get a lot.
Rhoda.
Yes, but then I have this issue. There was a time I sent a manuscript in the Journal of International Microbiology. One of the reviewers asked me for my document, my bench document. I was wondering that because I actually had a ledger, a big book that I was working with, and then he was asking of that document. I didn't know whether it was right for him to ask me my raw data. That is intent asking for my raw data. So I didn't think whether it was right or wrong. But while I was still talking with my group, they later asked us to withdraw. So I don't know what exactly.
To withdraw from the distance.
Yes, they
so
asked
I
us
don't know what the document you mean. What is the implication? Is it a secretive document or?
No, my raw data. They were asking for.
Okay, for your raw data.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I mean, if they stick in getting your raw data, and when you do not have the consent to do that, then you cannot give it, of course.
Yes.
But many journals nowadays encourage researchers where possible to provide their raw data.
Okay, so is something allowed to do?
Yeah, it's possible, of course. All right, Kudus, and after Kudus, we'll go on lunch break, and then when we come back, we take group 11. I think the time will not allow us to do that.
Thank you very much, Prof. My question is as regards reviewers who do not make specific requests. For example, when a reviewer asks you to just rewrite your discussion aspects without actually specifying what the problem is with that aspect of your manuscript, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I know it's not very specific. So what you do is look at your discussion again and see if you can improve it. Anything is improvable. So don't say I have reached the boundary. I can't. No, you can. If they don't have specific comment, just try to improve it, and then you can respond that we have tried now to improve the discussion. All right. Thank you everyone for this morning. And then let's come back after an hour to continue. When we come back, group number 11 will present. And after that, we'll go to group number 12 later on. Enjoy your meal. Bon appetit. All right. Welcome back. Let's continue. There is a hand. Reham.
Can I speak?
Have your hand? Yes, please. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I just want to ask about tomorrow, how it will go. Are we presenting our project? Are we how it goes? Are we finishing early? Okay.
I will come back to that later.
Thank you.
Is your group ready to present?
What you are talking about the nuggets?
I mean for tomorrow. Is your group ready?
We are in the final stages. Yes,
Final stage.
we have done almost all of it.
Okay. Great. So, but I will come back to that. Okay. All right. Any other questions somebody has? If not, we invite group number 11 to present their nugget. Group number 11. Group number 11, are you there? Who is presenting for group number 11? Group number 11, are you ready? All right, yes. Nafi, please go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm presenting our nugget on how to write an effective discussion. The paper is written by R.S. It is a very clear and concise paper. And then I will talk about the introduction, the elements that need to be included in the discussion, and then things to avoid when writing the discussion and the summary. Then the purpose of writing the discussion is to give an explanation, the meaning of the results to the reader. Then it's meant for the reader. And there are elements that should be included and things that one needs to avoid. Always write the discussion then the reader must have a clear understanding of what we are talking about. And the focus is to help the study. And therefore the highlight should be on the data. Then the element to include, the first thing is to state the main findings of the study. The very first paragraph in the discussion should be a summary of the key findings. Start by creating your research problem and concisely summarizing your major findings. And it should be direct, declarative, system proclamation of the results. Second step is to explain the meaning of the findings and why the findings are important, because it's your research and no one has taught as long as and hard as you study as you have done. Therefore, it must be clear in your head and clearly explain to the reader. Relate the finding to those of similar studies, like in what you did in the literature review. Try to link what your results with others have already done. The findings of your study may support your findings, we strengthen the importance of your study results. The other step is to consider alternative explanation of the findings, because it is important to remember that the purpose of the research is to discover and not to. You want to make new discovery. State the clinical relevance of the findings and also acknowledge the limitation. It is far better for you to identify and acknowledge your study limitation than to have them pointed out by a peer reviewer. Therefore, it's key for a researcher to always identify the limitation of his or her research. Also make suggestions for further research. It should be the stepping stone for others to do a follow-up or to continue the research that you've already started. Although a study may answer important questions, other questions related to the subject may remain unanswered. It should be an opening a door for others to do their own research, and then give the take-home message in the form of a conclusion. What do you want the reader to remember from your research or from your study? It should be the first sentence of your conclusion section. The things to avoid when writing the discussion. As a researcher, we should avoid over-interpretation of the result. Be careful that your interpretation of the result does not go beyond what is supported by the data. Limit yourself with with the data you have and what your data are revealing. Unwarranted speculation. Don't over speculate. This discussion should remain focused on your data and your device of the study. Inflating the importance of the findings. Unwarranted inflation of the importance of the study results will discuss the reviewer on the readers, or sometimes it will make the reader not to read the paper or no more interested on your paper. Tangential issue. There are cross-cutting issues, then you should remain focused on the hypothesis and the purpose of your study. The bully pulpit. Do not use the discussion section to criticize other studies. Do not use the discussion to attack other investigations. Moreover, never preach to the reader. Focus on your study. The conclusion that are not supported by the data. The hypothesis 3. Conclusion should be a package. It should be tied up. The conclusion should be linked to the study, to the data and the conclusion. Do not allow your bias, to enter into the conclusion. And inclusion of the take-home message. The take-home message should be done in the conclusion section. And as summary, at the end of it, you need to have a summary of it. The discussion section gives an opportunity to explain your results to the reader. And when writing the discussion, remember to be focused and then make sure that the reader understands your study. And the highlights should be on the data that you have in hand. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Group number 11. Thank you. Okay, so I will share my screen. Okay, so please, the course evaluation. Some of you are still yet to complete it. Please, we need it. We need it completed, so that we can take that into account. Please. Okay, impact factor and distractions. Impact factor and distractions. The impact factor is a measure of the frequency with which the average article in a journal has been cited in a particular year. All right, the frequency with which the average article. So now you see that Lancet is the toughest journal in the world measured by the impact factor. But the impact factor is not an indicator of reach. Reach, I mean the number of people that read the paper. But it's just an indicator of the citation profile of the journal. All right. So those who developed it wanted to use it to measure how people cite from a particular journal. Nowadays, people are using it to measure the importance of a journal. Can you imagine that? Anything developed by human beings will usually become misused. All right. So it can be misleading, to say the least. It can be misleading because the impact factor is not an indicator of the reach. It's only an indicator of the citation profile. And gradually we have moved it to become an indicator of the importance. Now, I was talking about Lancet, which is the toughest journal in the world. The impact factor of Lancet is around 200 or so. The last one. And the reason for that is, can anyone guess? Before the last one, it was around 50 last year. But now it's around 200. Can anyone guess?
Professor, I didn't get the question.
The question is, Lancet is the toughest journal in the... Yeah, somebody has answered it.
So you are invited to join me.
COVID-19.
Why is one person?
COVID-19.
The next person.
COVID-19.
You didn't mention something yesterday. You mentioned something.
COVID-19 shot many journals, particularly respiratory journals, and in general, the medical journals shot them up from where they were, shot them up. They went up. COVID-19. And my guess is that this is artificial, because the importance of COVID-19 is going down. All right, it's going down now. Not so much interest in that. So if you give it the next 5 years, many of these journals that went up in that way will go down. But the impact factor is the frequency with which the average paper. So if Lancet, all right, publishes X, Y number of papers in a particular year. For instance, if you want to calculate the impact factor for 2020, all right, you use the 2 previous years to make that calculation. So Lancet publishes Y articles between 2018 and 2019. And then X is the number of times articles published in 2018 and 19 were cited by journals indexed during 2020. All right, so during that period, you have the number of papers that were published, and during that period, you also have the number of times papers during that period were cited. So the impact factor is calculated as the number of times that has been cited divided by the number of articles. So it's an average. All right. And so what will happen is that because COVID-19 occurred, and there were lots of publications on COVID-19, and everybody is citing them, everybody is citing them, everybody is citing them, everybody is citing them, everybody is citing them. There are some papers that Lancet published during this period that did not get Can you mute yourself? There's some articles published during this period. There's some articles published during this period that were not cited as much. But because this is an average, what happens is that it will be driven by the articles published on COVID-19. So Lancet having impact factor of 200 means that during 2018 and 2019, on average, a paper published in Lancet was cited 200 times or thereabout. That is mighty figure. That is mighty figure. All right? Because some papers published in Lancet could be cited during this period up to 10,000 times because of the importance COVID-19 was there. And citation here, they say citable index journals, meaning that it is the scientists citing this. But it does not mean that that is the reach. For instance, the New England Journal of Medicine used to be the highest ranked medical journal in the world. And it has a tremendous reach, all right? Across Africa, Asia, America, Europe. So even though Lancet has overtaken it by impact factor, it still maintains the lead in terms of reach. And the question is for you, what is important? What do you think is more important? The impact factor or the reach? And the reach here means that organizational bodies, professional bodies, medical doctors who are working in the hospitals, academia, government institutions subscribe and they get articles from that journal. For you, which is the most important? Questions?
Reach.
Sir?
Is more important.
The reach.
The reach.
The reach.
Yeah, but how many of you before now have been talking about the reach? Because what I've been hearing is impact factor.
For me, it's the first time to hear about the reach.
Yes,
what I
same thing.
knew was impact factors, and I was judging the journal based on impact factor.
Yeah. Will you stop talking about it when you leave this course?
No. The story change now. The story changed now.
The story changed for you?
Yeah.
Yes, for me too.
The tables have changed now.
You see,
it has not changed.
It has not changed for you.
The culture around here will not make it change.
I mean, for you.
For me.
For you.
Prof, please, I didn't get you.
I mean, for you. What is your situation?
Yes.
I don't understand the meaning of reach.
The reach is how many people have access to your research. Okay. How many people actually read it? How many people subscribe to your paper?
Okay.
You understand? How many people subscribe to that journal? So that is the important thing. You can see some journals that have very high impact factor, but you compare them to another journal, their reach is poor. For instance, there's a journal called Pediatrics. I'm not sure if there are people who are into pediatric medicine here. It's called Pediatric. Pediatric used to be the most important journal in pediatric in the world. There's some other journals that have gone up higher than pediatrics. You have JAMA Pediatrics, you have some other. But if you look at pediatrics, pediatrics still has tremendous amount of reach than any of those journals, even though the impact factor is still lower than them, because pediatrics is a journal the medical doctor who is anywhere in the world will go to read first. It established itself in that sense. So it has wider reach, but the impact factor is lower. Wherever you go, even in your institution, and that is what Ogochukwu was alluding to. In your institution, they will not ask you what is rich. Did they ask you?
No.
It is impact factor.
No.
It is impact factor. Impact
Yes.
factor, they ask of. Impact factor, everybody impact factor. What is impact factor? What is impact factor? What is it? Goodness me, we keep preaching that and we forget the fact that we should have science that meets the local needs. People can tap into what we are doing and change their story. Anyway, this is what it is. You make the judgment. You can start a movement. You can start sensitization movement to inform that actually we need to improve our perspective so that we are not caged to one issue that eventually is not as relevant as the bigger picture. All right, I have Osman Sanyang.
Thank you, Prof. I'm excited that we are learning a lot of new concepts. And then like this one where the reach is shows a greater significance. What I want to just contribute is currently, it would depend on the context in which you are, pursuing this thing, because like you just mentioned, many a time it's like the impact factor which is being asked. So if you are in an institution where, in as much as they, look at the reach, but they also consider the impact factor, and you have many a time have your article published in the journal which is rich, you might also want to consider also publishing in a journal which has a high impact factor so that you can have a blend. Or otherwise, for those of us, for example, who are not so much of fair with the rich, or now this thing, but just don't worry, most of the time it's just this low impact factor that he or she published in, is not any of a high impact factor. So I look at it in a manner that it depends on the context. What is good, I'm educated that the rich also needs to be considered. And that is the most important one when it comes to medicine, for example, you consider which journal it has been from if you are giving a reference. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so what I've discussed now is based at the level of the journal. All right, it's based at the level of the journal. And the impact factor is also at the level of the journal. And that is why it says it doesn't tell anything about how much an individual article has been cited. It's an average. So it means that some during that period you're measuring, some articles can have as much as 10,000 citations, while some may have 0. But we calculate the average. The same thing goes to the reach. And people are asking, how do you measure reach? It's based on the number of subscription people make to the journal. All right, number of subscription. So that is also at the journal level. It does not tell about what happens to your own paper. All right, it does not tell how many people read your paper. Okay, I'm not saying don't follow impact factor to publish your paper, but you can also improve the individual reach of your paper. And somebody was asking today, how do you increase citation of your paper? It's the same way. If you want your paper to have increased reach, then you can use the social media. You can print it out and put on the notice board of your institution. You can send it to friends if you think it's important for them to read. Yeah, you can organize events in your university to present it in your department so that you can increase the reach and thereby increasing the opportunity for people to understand what you have done. All right, Emmanuel Ochibo. Emmanuel, are you there? Okay, I have Uchechi. Please.
Yeah, good afternoon, Prof.
Good afternoon.
And good afternoon, everyone. I really appreciate this program. It has really impacted my life. So my question, Prof, is it possible that we can relate reach and indexing of journals?
Well, it is possible that indexing it can increase both reach and citation, but it is not necessary that the indexing can help you to reach those. You may have a local journal in your university, okay, where science is published, perhaps excellent science that is done locally, but the journal is not indexed. And at the same time, it is serving the purpose of the local community. All right. So we need to look at the benefits and the disadvantages. So you may have a local journal. It may be within your institution, maybe your locality, that is not indexed in any of the indexing platforms, but it is serving the purpose of the local population. All right.
Okay. Thank you, Prof.
So we have to look at that. I know that people are fighting for journals indexing. Is it indexing or is it not index? And that can also be a distraction. That can also be a distraction. All right. Okay, I have Hadi.
Thank you very much, Prof. My opinion is that sometimes this impact factor, and sometimes, especially for us in the universities, it makes researchers to defeat the purpose of research, because you may publish in a journal and they'll tell you the impact is very poor or that it is not an indexed journal, but you really know that the journal that you publish will really reach the people that you are targeting to communicate your findings to. So these are some of the issues that we face, especially if you are coming from developing countries like in Africa, especially in the Gambia. Really, there are certain category of journals that when you publish in them, your people that you are communicating to can easily see it. But published in high impact factor journal where you know that people that need the results may not reach it. So what is your take in that? These are the issues that we are battling with in our environment.
So that is one thing, and that is one of the motivations for the ASFI journal we want to establish. We want to pursue excellence as well as making African research locally relevant. Okay. want to do that so that we can be able to use what we publish. There is so much attraction out there. And one of the reasons why, it's not that if you publish outside your locality, it will not be used. The question is, the locality, will it be able to have access to what you have published out there? If they don't subscribe to the journals there, how can you make it locally relevant? And that's some of the things I've said, that you can organize local events and talk about your research. Where you publish it is not so much a big barrier to talking about your research locally. But when you publish in an African journal, compared to when you publish in an international journal, and if what you have found is relevant to African context, when you publish it outside Africa, the possibility of using what you have found is much more remote compared to when you publish it in an African journal. That is the first thing. The second thing is also, if you publish it in an African journal, what is the possibility that people actually read the journal? Because you can publish in an African journal and nobody is reading it. They don't have access to it. So how do you deal with that? So we need to balance it. And that is why in ASFI, the first half of next year, we want to discuss these things. And then I will share the link now. The link I promised. Please help us, because it will help every one of us. So I shared the link. That link, we want to collect information regarding what journals are publishing in your discipline or research interest in Africa. What journals are there? All right. I want to use this to develop conversations for next year. We want to provide a landscape of the journals, then to be able to assess the barriers, the challenges that are there, how visible they are. So please help us to fill in there so that we can use that to raise conversation. The goal is that we'll be able to look at these issues, because as we have highlighted in this course, science is there to help us to develop solutions to challenges in the society. But before you can do that, the information provided by science needs to be accessible. It needs to be available. It needs to be understandable. And if those who are able or in the position to apply what science does do not have access to them, then it becomes challenging. Let's bring up those conversations and see how we can improve for our continent, because it will not be helpful that we discuss these things and then we do not have a pathway people can take in resolving the challenges we face. I think that is one of the issues. Link to evaluation. We sent that earlier. I can send it again, but the evaluation is not the one I sent now. So this one is the link to the evaluation. All right. I want to send you to group sessions now. But what I want to do is that I have divided all of you into 2 groups. Group 1 to 6 will be in one group. All right. And then group 7 to 12 will be in one group. And I want you to go and look at this conventional versus open peer review. Conventional versus open peer review. Which one is better to enhance science and research? Why and how? Advantages and disadvantages of each approach. This is what you'll be discussing in that group that will comprise groups 1 to 6. You have 45 minutes. And when you come, share your thoughts in 5 minutes. All right. And there are sources to use. I will put those sources there, but please, you will do that. You can take a picture of this conventional and versus open peer review. Which one is better? The advantages. So please, that is group number 1 that will comprise groups 1 to 6. Then group number 2, traditional versus open access publishing models. I hope you understand the difference. This one is conventional versus open peer review. This one is traditional versus open access publishing models. Which is better to enhance science and research? Why and how? Advantages and disadvantages. You have 45 minutes still. And then when you come back, appoint somebody in each group who will come to present your thoughts in 5 minutes. So I will put this now in, hope you have taken a picture of this. I will put this now in the chat. So group number 1, and that is groups 1 to 6. Okay, so you have it there. Group number 2. And that comprises groups 7 to 12. Okay, so I will open this thing now, and we send you when you come back. We present this. I've created and I have opened. So please join the group that you belong to. If you don't have your name, your group number to your name, then it's a problem. Okay, group 1, tell us what you have. Who is representing group 1? Please raise your hand. Let's see. And then who is representing group 2? Also do the same.
Thank you very much, Prof. These are our notes for group 1. and I will submit, and then other colleagues can jump in. What we did was to, first of all, try to understand what means conventional peer review means. And from our quick search, we discovered that conventional is normally where there is an element of anonymity, whereby the reviewer is not, the reviewer is not known, they're not known to each other. So we have single anonymous, and then there is double anonymous. So those are the two categories that we found to be falling under the conventional peer review approach. Then the non-conventional, where there is openness, where the reviewers are known. So those are and there are different models that we saw from the link that was shared. So quickly to go on what we found out in terms of the advantages, members said that for conventional, it's advantageous because it avoids bias. The reviewer, since the reviewers will be objective and because they don't know the author, so it eliminates bias. The other issue, the other one, also, especially under double anonymous, it even helps to remove bias also of the reviewer. If one reviewer is biased, then the other one should be able to give a different perspective to objectivity in the review process. Disadvantage, some of the members say that since nobody knows anybody, so you can, sometimes the reviewer can do anything, as much as we say that it removes bias. So these are some of the things that came up. And on the unconventional open review, members said this is good because it provides opportunity for follow-up support and collaboration between the author and the reviewer. Somebody said that especially if there's a particular area of interest where they want to publish, so we'll be able to later on engage the reviewers. More careful, they also say that there is more care in the review process, even in the use of language, because we know that everything is done in the open. Members say that it promotes fairness, it removes errors, and people are try to do their best, and the process is done carefully. Members suggest that it makes the process more transparent because everybody, we know whoever is involved in the process. And members also say that it assists the researchers to access the list of fellow researchers since it's an open platform. So closely linked to what we mentioned earlier first in terms of collaboration and the future research. And members also say that it promotes visibility within the scientific research community because you can know who is doing what and be able to engage. And then also finally, somebody said that the turnaround time might be faster when it comes to open non-unconventional methods. But generally, remember, we also said that I think in all this, what is very critical is the sincerity in the review process. And it's very important, irrespective whether you are doing conventional or unconventional. I think the key thing here is the sincerity and honesty in the process is what is very key, is what will make a difference. And in that process, it eliminates bias as a result of that. Thank you very much. Unless if from the team members, if there's something that I've skipped, they can come and add. Thank you very much, Prof.
Thank you. Anyone from group number 1 that has something to add to this? All right. Any input from other persons? Okay, so let's go to group number 2. All right, I have El Badi. You have question?
No, I want to present.
All right, please go ahead.
All right, so good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes, so I'll be speaking for group 2. The assignment was for us to speak to traditional versus open access publishing model, which is better to enhance science and research, why and how, advantages and disadvantages of each approach. All right, so so we tried to speak to the definition in terms of what is the difference between the two of them, which I believe is very clear to everyone, and I would not love to hammer on that. So this is the summary of the definition. The traditional published journal can be accessed by readers who have subscription or access to those subscriptions. We started off by saying that it was the traditional form where it is in print media, but we ended by understanding the fact that even if it is not a print media, it can be online or it is subscription based. For the open access, the publishing model is that it makes the research material freely available to readers on the earlier spoken about, which is the traditional. In our group, we concluded by choosing or going for the open access that it is better to enhance science and research due to the following points. We have just about 5 points. We believe that it makes research material freely available to all the readers, and this will accelerate the rate at which people have access to information and can learn and improve on their research. It also helps to have high impact on citation because of the access that is available. Again, everyone can read, everyone can have access, everyone can see, and this will help people to know the solution that has been worked on or provided by a researcher in another clime. Also, with the collaboration that the internet has brought, open access ensures that people can partner easily. And then also for the review, reviewers can come from different ends to look at the resource of the material. And last but not the least, it increases visibility. Engine on one of the documents that spoke about the 4 factors that we should consider, which is the easy access, visibility, the cost of the publication, amidst other factors. Going to the advantages and disadvantages for the traditional, one of the advantages we identified is that it is established, given that these are already known sources and publishers, and this also will eliminate or make it difficult for you to then have predatory journals that are in the traditional space. And lastly, we also spoke about the quality, that the quality of the works in the traditional is way better. The only disadvantage we hammered on is that it is a closed system and subscription based. So if you are a researcher and you don't have good money in your wallet, you are disadvantaged and you will not be able to have access to resources that can aid and help you have quality research work. Open access, the advantages is that it is easy access for information to everyone. So it encodes or in a way democratize information. So whether you are rich or poor, you have access. We believe that it increases automatically the readership, and then it is free for all. The disadvantage for us is the sustainability. As much as possible, a good journal can come out, but if it is not properly funded, then you have problem keeping the sustainability. Given that the traditional mode have advertisement and other mode that revenue can be generated to keep the publishing ongoing further. Also, we believe there is a problem with quality control, and this is where the predatory journal comes in. And the last but not the least is the publication fee. It is a barrier to entry for researchers, and this is not good for the future of scientific research. That's our presentation. I don't know if I missed anything, and any of the group member would love to contribute.
All right. Anyone from the group that wants to present something or want to share thoughts? Is there anyone that has this information is new? Both the presentation in group 1 and this group now. Anyone who is learning this for the first time? All right, El Hadi, please. El Hadi, you want to speak?
Thank you, sir. Yeah, listen, you heard me? Thank you.
Yeah, is that a continuation? Is that the continuation of group 2 or what? Group 2, do you have 2 presentations? Eh?
Yes, just a few words.
Okay.
Can I?
Go ahead.
Yes. Yes, they already present, but I just have, I took a photo by a recent model of Samsung mobiles with camera with 108 megapixels and compare it with another camera with 13 megapixels. And I can just compare between the traditional and open in.
We are not seeing your slides anymore.
Well, we are not seeing.
It's blank now. Perhaps you can stop sharing and share again.
Can see?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to see that there is it is the same as the open access journals are digitalized. It is the same like camera.
Now, when you move to the next slide, then it goes blank. Can you put it on? Can you put it on presentation mode? Okay, now we can see this now.
You can see?
Yeah, we can see it now. Perhaps you go like this. You can just go like this.
Okay. Okay, I just want to say that there is a difference between, although the same cameras with different models, the digitalization or digits, a new camera with high megapixels of 108 megapixels, and the other camera with only 13 megapixels, and we can see the difference. And this can show us the difference between this is the old one and this is a new one, or the recent one. And we can see the difference in case of the open access or traditional old journals. So traditional journals are no longer exist, and if no, there are very few. As our colleague mentions, time, expenses, accessibility, and it's already are no longer exist, as I said. Open access journals are digitalized, and why and how for easy for both publisher and authors, and also it changed or increase the number of individuals trying to get their research published from the student to scientists or to professors. And also because information are freely available for every one to use. It also encourages the changing, especially for those who are working in medical fields, changing from clinician to clinician and scientist, because nowadays the medicine is based on evidence-based. So to practice evidence-based medicine, you have to go to search for what literature said and what is your experience, and then what patient prefer. Open access versus subscription-based traditional journals. Open access journals are subjected to the same peer review, productions, and publication requirements as traditional. Open access journals are evaluated for impact factor in the same way that subscription-based journals are. Author can also submit the final version of their open access paper in any institutional repository as soon as they are published. An open access journal also, like subscription title, can be member of COPS also. What is benefit? Lower cost, greater accessibility, and better prospects for long-term preservation of scholarly works, higher visibility, accessibility, and shorter publication times. Some arguments against open access concern have been expressed about the scope and quality of peer review, the technology and costs associated with information capture and presentation, the price regulation, and the overall sustainability of the scholarly communication. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for the addition to that. Well, I don't think I agree absolutely with the thought that the traditional publication does not exist. They are really strong. I think what has happened now is that some of them have adopted or have included open access option. Okay, so when you say open access journal, what happens is that all they publish is made open access, but the traditional journals have also fine-tuned to increase the competition so that you have the option to publish open access in those journals, even though they still maintain their traditional way of not making it open access, except you pay for that. All right, I have Aloysius and then David.
Thank you, Professor. You asked whether this information is new to anyone.
Okay.
It is slightly new to me in a very formal setting because I have not been in the academia for a long time. And I find it very, very informative and helpful in my work here as Dean of the Graduate School here at the University of Kisubi. So I can use it to encourage my students to do research in view of publishing their innovations.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. David?
Yes, I appreciate the presentation.
Go ahead, David.
Thank you so much, and I have to appreciate you for this opportunity. Thanks. The news to me, I can say I've seen the existence of traditional and open in that there are some journals where when you submit, they tell you that actually this one, we shall make it open access, or they ask you whether you need it to be open or not. Then you make a choice. I experienced such kind of a thing. And then also trying to comment on the traditional type. Sometimes I feel like the multinationals have quite a larger hand to play in controlling the system. By using the money, they can actually they can divert information. The reality, I can give a very practical situation, like in my country. If you look at clinically, the people I see, the patients I see, like in the early 2015, I used to see per 10 patients I'm attending to, I would have 7 to 8 HIV positive. But later on, 4 or 5 years later on the line, I could, every 20 patients, I could only find only one newly diagnosed HIV, or the things that are published either in the local newspapers or in the international media. It shows that the infection rates are rising, especially in the numbers I meet and the friends meet. which is actually the opposite, meaning there could be somebody on the background using the finances to publish something that is forced to look real. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Okay, Ayodeji.
Thank you, Prof. I'm just curious about the type of additions the second presenter for the second group has made. The question is the group aware that that second presentation is being prepared? Number two, those things, were they contributed to what the group had to have? Dynamics of group presentation demands that we all put heads together. So I'm only wondering, because many times we say things and we say, oh, you know, it's okay, it's an addition, but then we should be able to question it. This is a group work. So why should we have a second presentation? Why the group has presented what they had in the first place? Thank you, sir.
All right. I'm not sure what happened in the group. Was there exchange of blows? You can't do exchange of blows with the computer. What happened there? Anyway, let's not stress that. Let's let that go. But please, if you have a group presentation to make, the goal here is to work with a group. All right. Work with the group and discuss. Okay, Opeyemi, do you want to respond?
Yes, apologies for that. I led the group for group 2, so I had assumed that we only allowed it for additional sake, but that was not our thought, and that's not what we presented or we worked on. We had a secretary who worked on our presentation, and that was what I spoke to. So that's what I just want to clarify. So that's really not coming from us directly, but maybe he wanted to just give addition or his thoughts.
All right. Okay, so just to stress it, that if you have a group presentation, work with your group and speak with the same voice as your group. Okay, I have Chinenye and Eziafa, and then we run. Okay, Ndeshi. After that, we talk 3 of this, then we'll go.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. I have a problem with patency, as in patenting your product. Assuming you have worked and you have discovered something novel that you really want to patent. Someone once mentioned to me that if you put it in an open access, you will no longer be able to patent that. So I'm wondering whether it's true, or whether you can actually publish your work, your novel work, and still patent it. Thank you.
I think patent is really different from publishing, isn't it? Those who are involved in patency, patenting is different from publishing. When you have patent, you can, of course, do your research and still publish things from there. And that is what many of these drug companies do. So you need to be careful what you publish from your patent and what you don't publish. So it's your decision to make. But as far as I know, having a patent is different from publishing your research work. Okay, Eziafa Jonathan. Eziafa Jonathan. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here, sir.
Please.
Yes, sir. So please, I have issues with these open access journals. Because sometimes
what did I do to you?
Sometimes when you open it and you want a particular article, they will ask for subscription, or they will ask you to pay. They will ask
open
for
access.
That. Yes, sir.
I don't think so. I don't know what happened. If it's open access, they don't ask for that. Unless you go to these hybrid ones that publish both open access and subscription based.
Yeah.
unless, but if it's open access journal, then it's open access, and you can get that. You can get access to that wherever you are. So check carefully, and you can do that by reading the journal instructions. What it is.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you, sir.
Yeah. Finally, Indesh.
Thank you, Prof. My question is really a quick one. I just wanted to confirm with you if you will be loading the presentations from group 1 and 2 on the Google Drive, because there's really some good new information that I would want to revisit again. Thank you.
So group 1, that is who presented for group 1, and then Opayemi group 2. Please send that to me, then I'll put those in the Google Drive. All right. So what I plan to do now is to send you to your groups so that you now before I do that, let me tell you the sweet story of in the Bible, there is a saying by Solomon when he says, "Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter." That is what I want to do now. I'm not concluding, just to tell you the sweet part for me for tomorrow. What will happen tomorrow? Somebody was asking that question. So when we resume tomorrow morning, all right, I will send you to your breakout rooms to go and complete your project, and you will have 3 complete hours to work on that. 3 complete hours to finalize your project, make your presentation, and then after that, we have half an hour lunch. Tomorrow's lunch will be short. It will be short, okay? And I hope you can finish your food in half an hour. My daughter was asking me this afternoon, how long do you give them for lunch? And I said 1 hour. She said, whole 1 hour? In our school, they can even give us as small as 20 minutes. That's a long time. Anyway, so tomorrow I'm going to shorten it for you. Half an hour. Half an hour tomorrow. And so we return at 11:30 GMT, please, GMT. And then we go and make the presentations. This is how it's going to be. So get yourself ready. All right, and then we'll conclude tomorrow. So this is what happens tomorrow, and I can see 2 hands. I will take those and I will send you out. When I send you out to your group, the problem I have is that I would like to make somebody a host. And this person I will make, because my colleague lost her she lost her network, no electricity. So her battery has gone down. Because I need to run out, my kids are not fine. So I need to go and find if I can go to the pharmacy and get some medications for them. So when I send it to your group now, to your groups, I will run away, and somebody I can make the host. If you are the host, you can join your group, but you can still admit people from there and send them to their groups from there. So you have to juggle between your group and sending people to their group. So if anyone who wants to volunteer for that, that would be great. All right, Jeremiah, thanks a lot for that. All right, I have Oloruntola, Rachel, and Patience. Quick ones, please.
Thank you, Prof. And when you were talking about journals, what we were told was that open access journal are predatory journals. How do we differentiate between the predatory journals?
Who said that?
That's what we were told. So we were made to start looking for a way to publish in maybe
Elsevier. No, that is not true. And I hope your participation in the group task will have helped you to clear that doubt. All right, that's not true. All right, Patience, finally.
Yes. Good afternoon, Prof. Thank you for the wonderful classes. Sorry for the health of your children. I pray that they will get well soon. I just want to make a comment on what your kids said. On a lighter mood. They carry cooked food to school. That's why they can eat within 30 minutes. But
Are you competing now?
No, we are not competing. I'm just, I said on a lighter
You can
mode.
change. You can change. They take your time. That's what they're saying. We can change. 1 hour is long. They want to take 1 hour. They give them only 20 minutes. Do you want 20 minutes?
No, the 1 hour is when we cook the food before we start eating. That is what I want to say.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
No problem.
Thanks for everything. We are grateful, sir.
Okay. All right. So let me send you now. I'll open the rooms and please join your room. If you don't have your group number to your name, then that is not good. Oh, sorry. Let me recreate this. I will close it. I will bring everybody back and I will recreate it because I have done it the wrong way. Just hold it there.